Cleveland's bullpen, well rested and ready. On the Yankees side, which relievers manager Aaron Boone uses comes down to one thing, explains ESPN MLB insider Buster Olney.
Who does Aaron Boone trust after Jamison Tyone? We know that they love Wandy Peralta. Who cares that he threw 27 pitches in Game 3? Who cares that he wound up pitching in Game 4? It's about trust. They really trust him, and they really trust Nestor Cortez, who's one of their starting pitchers, because they feel like he pitches with such heart.
Game 5 coverage 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio. NFL as Cardinals receiver Marquise Brown undergoes further testing to determine the extent of the foot injury he suffered yesterday. Arizona acquired receiver Robbie Anderson from the Panthers for a 2024 6th-round pick and a 2025 7th-rounder. Anderson was kicked out of yesterday's game by Carolina interim coach Steve Wilks following sideline arguments with his position coach. Rams left tackle Joe Noteboom out the rest of the season with a torn Achilles tendon.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
The Cardinals need to move on, as far as I'm concerned, from Cliff Kingsbury. Don't look at the previous 4 years he gave you. Forget that. You look at this year. Just like you did Steve Wilks, it's time to cut bait.
The guys will be back Tuesday morning at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us, AFR. Presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. An unsettling trend. When LSU wins, the Saints lose. When the Saints win, LSU loses. Maybe we could snap that eventually so everybody can be happy here on a Monday. Cole Cubelic next hour. Maddy Hudak will be here in hour 3. We'll look at some Saints film with Maddy, and quick turnaround for New Orleans as they lose to Joey B and the Bengals in really unprecedented fashion, which we'll get to in the next segment. Really historic fashion. There's one number that we'll tell you about, which puts in context how improbable it was that the Saints lost that game yesterday, but we'll get to that. And somehow, with the division being as bad as it is, they're still just hanging around at 2-4, one game back. But we'll get to the Saints. Let's start with LSU. Tigers go on the road and they beat Florida 45-35. So LSU moves to 5-2 overall. They are 3-1 in the SEC. And Saturday really felt like a huge step forward for the program, because we've seen this team respond when they've been down in games. I mean, they were down double digits to Florida State, rallied, nearly won. They were down 13 to Mississippi State, rallied and won. Down 17 to Auburn, rallied and won. I mean, there's an undeniable truth about this team, which is that these guys have bought in and they will fight to the end. I mean, they are not going to fold like LSU did at times a year ago, which was concerning. LSU folded at Ole Miss a year ago. They folded at Kentucky a year ago. Against Tennessee, they just got beat by a better team, which I think we can now validate. Tennessee is really good. Like the loss to Tennessee is a little more comfortable today after what you saw what Tennessee did to Alabama on Saturday, putting up 52 points. But what we learned about LSU, I think, is how they responded to that loss. You know, you lose 40-13, then you got to pick yourself up and go on the road to Gainesville in a tough road environment, a packed house where those people were jacked up. I don't know if you knew it was Tom Petty night. Joe Tessitore made sure to remind you that about every other play. But to go into that road environment and to get down immediately, just like they did, I mean, that had to actually be very comfortable for LSU to give up the 47-yard kickoff return to start the game, and on the second play, 51-yard touchdown over the top, and you're down 7-0. But it was a very familiar situation for LSU. And all they did from that point will score on 6 consecutive possessions. An incredible day for the LSU offense, which is what many people were waiting to see. As a matter of fact, after the game, Brian Kelly was asked about the offense. It's number 8, Muse, from the postgame, about the guys getting more comfortable with the offense, which you clearly saw on Saturday.
Our guys are starting to feel a lot more comfortable with the offense and what we're trying to do with it. The outside zone is complementing now the inside zone and the zone read. You can see the passes off of it now. You saw a lot more 7-man protection, the ability to push the ball down the field. We missed a double move that's wide open. But you can start to see those things starting to come together, and I think our guys obviously see that and feel more comfortable.
I thought Mike Denbrock called a great game. And a lot of you have criticized him at times this year. If you're going to criticize when things aren't going well, you have to give praise when things are. And although I don't think some of the offensive issues this year have been Mike Denbrock's fault, I think it's been a general lack of talent and execution for what you want to call. I thought he called a brilliant game on Saturday. You saw a wide receiver screen to Malik Neighbors. LSU had a 3rd and 2. They ran an option shovel pass to Mason Taylor, which was very creative. Your third quarter touchdown run for Jayden Daniels when he ran an option to the weak side to the left. You had trips to the right. The whole field was shifted to the right side, and they ran a zone read with Jayden. He pulled it, went around left end and scored, just beat the defender to the goal line. Very creative play calling. Jayden Daniels, I think, is probably what most people are going to talk about today. It's where the conversation will begin for most everyone, because that's what everyone has kind of been waiting to see, right? And you had a quarterback that played his best game in an LSU uniform, by far, and he took chances and opened it up and gave his receivers opportunities to go get 50-50 balls, which we've wanted to see. And they rewarded him for that throughout the course of the game. Even one that was the 29-yarder to Brian Thomas that was overturned on review, which I'm not sure how that was overturned on review, but that's what you really wanted to see. You know, the touchdown pass to Brian Thomas was a 50-50 ball, and Jayden put it up in the end zone, and Brian Thomas, who's a freak, went and got it. The 54-yard touchdown pass to Jayden Jenkins, that was a 3rd down play where you had, as Brian Kelly referred to it, they had an ice, is what they called it, where it was a hard count intended to draw the defender offside to get a free play. It worked beautifully, and Jayden put it up, and Jayden Jenkins went and ran under it for a 54-yard touchdown. That's what we've been waiting to see. Now, make no mistake, Florida's not a good football team. Like, their defense is bad. We talked about it all last week. But we also talked about the week before how Tennessee's pass defense was bad, and LSU was not able to take advantage of it. Part of that's the offensive line, which I'm going to talk about next. But Jayden Daniels, 23 of 32 for 349. He threw for 3 touchdowns, ran for 3 touchdowns, something that has never been done by a quarterback in LSU history. 3 passing and 3 rushing touchdowns in the same game. And what's more, Jayden's continued to show you that in the big moments, he elevates his play. On 3rd down, Jayden Daniels was 8 of 9 for 173 yards in the touchdown. That was the 54-yarder to Jayden Jenkins. 8 of 9 on 3rd down. The only incompletion was the one in the 4th quarter on the crossing route that he threw to Kayshon on 3rd and 3 that was a little behind him, but Kayshon still got his hand on it, probably should have caught. So when the moments have gotten bigger, Jayden has elevated his play. He's done that since the 4th quarter against Florida State and carried that all throughout the year, which is great to see. But I do think a massive part of why LSU had success was the offensive line. And yes, it goes without saying getting Will Campbell back mattered tremendously. And for his efforts, Will Campbell on Monday was named by the SEC as the SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week, which, look, when you put up the type of performance that LSU did in that ball game offensively, you're going to reward somebody on that line, and it just so happened to be Will Campbell, who also was back a week after his health scare, which kept him out of the Tennessee game. So, listen, against Tennessee, as much as we want to talk about anything that could have gone wrong against Tennessee, accuracy, throwing the ball, running plays, play, whatever you want to talk about. Ultimately, you cannot get an offense off the ground if your line doesn't block. And against Tennessee, you allowed 5 sacks, 9 tackles for loss. You ran it 28 times for 55 yards. You got dominated at the line of scrimmage. which did not allow anything to go. That's why after the game, Brian Kelly, when he was asked about Jayden Daniels, if they considered making a change, he said, it was Cobble who asked the question, and Kelly said, yeah, well, we see it differently. So the quarterback was actually something we thought did well. It was a good part of our offense today. And he was right. Not that anything was really good, but you can't do anything if your offensive line doesn't give you an opportunity to do it. And I get it. You're playing without Will Campbell, and Dellinger went down, so your entire left side of your line, of a line that's already starting two true freshmen, and then you lose your whole left side of your line. I get it. That's tough. But you had Will Campbell back. They started Miles Frazier in place of Garrett Dellinger at left guard, which is where he started the season opener against Florida State, and you just held up much better against Florida. You allowed 1 sack, which was on the game's first possession. Will Campbell did allow it, but was stellar after that. 1 sack, 3 tackles for loss. You ran 38 times for 179 yards, averaged nearly 5 yards a carry. Your offensive line was great. Your offensive line was fantastic. They gave Jayden Daniels a clean pocket, time to throw, time to evaluate the field, and to hit his open receivers, and that's why the offense moved the way it did, and it was great to see. Hopefully that's a big step forward for this offensive line moving through the remainder of the year, because as we're going to continue to talk about this, as much maligned as the line has been, and justifiably so, and look, a lot of the moving pieces. You're starting 2 freshmen. You've got a first-time starting center. It's been musical chairs. You've started 6 line combinations in 7 games. But when you start to look ahead, you can see, man, those 2 true freshmen next year with all of this experience are going to be really good. Charles Turner probably returns next year as a 5th-year senior as your starting center. Garrett Dellinger, one of your best offensive linemen, will be back next year as well. Anthony Bradford should return. So your entire starting 5 should be back, and you're going to have one of the better offensive lines in the entire SEC next year. That's how you can talk about progress and growing and building and developing, and you're seeing it. Now, a couple other things. Thought Damian Ramos with the kick to ice it at the end was huge. I mean, it was not a gimme. It's a 47-yarder in a hostile environment, very loud. We've seen those situations, and he drilled it to put you up 10. Because if he misses that kick, Florida's got the ball with a chance to go tie or maybe win the game with the 2-point conversion. So Damian Ramos with the big kick there to ice it was awesome. Look, there was bad. The 51-yard touchdown on the second play of the game. The receiver got behind Jark Bernard-Converse. Man, the first play of the fourth quarter, you allow an 81-yard touchdown run by Anthony Richardson, who's dynamic, but Micah Baskerville and Greg Brooks and there was somebody else who all had a shot. There was 3 different players that had a shot at it. I believe it was Joe Fouché, who all had a shot at him, and they're trying to strip the ball instead of get him on the ground. Special teams was a problem again. You muffed a punt. You allowed the 47-yard return on the game's opening kickoff. When you punted in the fourth quarter, you had an illegal formation on the punt. I mean, everyone that's going to complain about special teams, you're right to complain about special teams because every week it's something new. And this is sounding like a broken record at this point, and my guess is in the offseason, Brian Kelly is going to have to address this and replace Polian. I don't know that he will. I'm not sitting here saying fire the coach. I don't know how you could justify retaining him after this, but it continues to be troublesome. But overall, for this team, the progress that they have made is undeniable. And that's what you want to see in this first year as they're building and, as Brian Kelly said often, creating good habits and creating culture. And wins like that are part of it. And it was historic. It's just the second time in the history of this series that LSU's won 4 in a row against Florida. The only other time it's happened, 1977 to 1980. Brian Kelly also becomes the first LSU coach ever to win at Auburn and at Florida in the same season. That's a wild stat, but it's true. It hadn't happened before. It goes to show you how hard it is to go on the road and win. But they've managed to do that in 2 really tough places already this year, at Auburn and at Florida. And with road trips still ahead to Arkansas and Texas A&M, these experiences are going to serve you well later this season and obviously moving forward. So for a lot of reasons, the win Saturday was big. And look, we could talk about the SEC West. I mean, with Alabama's loss, I mean, if you beat Ole Miss on Saturday, you lead the SEC West. As crazy as that is. You lead the SEC West going into November if you win on Saturday. But I don't know that we need to get that far ahead of ourselves or get to that yet. The bottom line is that it was a really nice win for LSU to go on the road to Gainesville, to bounce back after the Tennessee loss, to see the offense churn the way that it did, the offensive line to play really well. That's the progress that you hope to see each week with this team, and you are seeing. And now you got a big opportunity this week with a top 10 Ole Miss team coming into Baton Rouge. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're with us. Of course, Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. 288-8138, 288-8138 for Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. We'll knock out a quick break, come back, and we'll switch from the purple and gold to the black and gold. Saints with a disappointing loss at home, a game they dominated throughout. And I will share a statistic with you that will explain just how unbelievably improbable the Saints losing that game really was. That's next. It's AFR.
AFR.
Of course, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints is Rouse's. You can always visit Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. They're actually giving away a Vespa. You can win that Vespa if you go to the website. You can see how you can enter to win. And also the Coca-Cola Cash Catch, part of Saints games every week. Go enter at Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. But most importantly, remember, Rouse's has delivery and pickup options. So if you need to pick up your groceries and you're trying to save time, Rouse's helps you do that. So download the Rouse's app. Select your items. Your personal shopper will go pick them out for you. When you pull into one of the designated curbside spots, they'll bring out your items to you. They do have delivery options. Also, if you can't get to Rouse's, they'll have your groceries delivered to you. That's from Rouse's. So download the Rouse's app today. Of course, Rouse's is the home of Eagle 98.1 Game Day all throughout the LSU football season, where Hanny and Muse will be live at Rouse's on Burbank. Rouse's.com. Rouse's, this feels like home.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Service Mastery Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Mastery Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Mastery Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
after further review with Matt Moscona. Presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Dennis Allen's football team played so well early, but just Burrow and Chase too much in the end.
Our final score, the Bengals 30, the Saints 26. Let's take you to James Brown in New York for the NFL Today update.
30-26, your final from the Dome is heard there on CBS television. By the way, big shout out to my buddy Mark Grant, who's been on the show for a lot of years. Mark Grant, director with CBS, got to direct that game yesterday for CBS, and what of course, an LSU alum. We've talked to Mark a lot throughout the years. What a great opportunity for him to direct a great game in his home state with Burrow and Chase coming home, all that stuff. So it was a pretty cool opportunity there. Boy, Joey B was tugging at the heartstrings, wasn't he? Showed up at the Dome wearing Jamar Chase's game-worn national championship jersey. The video and images of that certainly went viral. Joe played the part to embrace Louisiana, came out, signed autographs pregame, which was a pretty cool thing for him to do, and then did what Joe Burrow does. 28 of 37, 300 yards on the money, 3 passing touchdowns, and had a rushing touchdown as well, which proved to be very significant, which we'll get to. The still just a really, really disappointing loss for the New Orleans Saints. Here was Dennis Allen after the game.
I was proud of the way our guys competed, but yet disappointed that we didn't make those plays at the end of the game to give us an opportunity to win the game. So short turnaround, Thursday night game, so we got a lot of stuff to clean up in a short period of time.
A massively disappointing loss for the New Orleans Saints. A nearly season-ending, for all intents and purposes, loss for the New Orleans Saints. The only reason the Saints still have a heartbeat right now is because the division is so bad that even at 2-4 out the gate, New Orleans is only a game behind Atlanta and Tampa Bay, who are at 3-3. Many of you have probably seen the statistic by now that only 10% of teams, since 1990 in this current era, only 10% of teams that start 2-4 make the postseason. So the Saints are up against it, but in a very bad division, they still have an opportunity. If the Saints do go on the road on Thursday and lose to Arizona on this short turnaround, it is over. Because if either of those teams I just mentioned manages to win and creates a 3-game separation with where the Saints are, it is virtually impossible to imagine them digging themselves out of that hole. So I don't mean to be dramatic here, but I do believe the Saints' season Thursday is on the line. It would, at least with any possible hope for making the playoffs. And the only way that they would make the playoffs is winning a bad division, which we've seen before. I mean, the Saints had to travel to Seattle back in 2010 to play a Seahawks team with a losing record that won a bad division. So it does happen. But just how improbable was this Saints loss? On a day where the Saints ran it for over 200 yards, won the turnover battle, really controlled the game throughout, only to lose at the end. Jay Morrison from The Athletic tweeted this. Prior to Sunday, there had been 406 teams in the Super Bowl era who gave up at least 228 rushing yards, at least 26 points, and lost the turnover battle. Those teams were 4 and 402. They're now 5 and 402 because the Bengals beat the Saints on Sunday. Unbelievable. That's in the Super Bowl era. Since 1967, the Super Bowl era. 406 teams prior to Sunday had done what the Saints did. And it only lost 4 times. So basically, that's about a once-in-a-decade loss on a day when the Saints really had to have it and couldn't pull it off. We can talk a lot about who the Saints didn't have. You didn't have your top 4 receivers. You didn't have your best cornerback. All that sort of stuff. And all that's valid, and none of it matters. Because in the NFL, there are no asterisks. There is no committee at the end of the season. It's not like in college basketball where the selection committee can say, oh, well, they played this stretch without their best player, and so we'll seed them higher. No. You win or you lose. It's binary. Or as Terry would say, it's digital, which doesn't make any sense at all. Everybody's a pro. Everybody gets paid. You have to go out and win. Suck it up and go do it. And the Saints were on the doorstep of a massive win and couldn't finish. Despite starting your backup quarterback and being down your top 4 wide receivers. You put up 399 yards. You scored 26 points. And I know there's a lot of people that are going to talk. You won the turnover battle. They gifted you a score with their fumble. You didn't even hit the returner. The guy was running, just threw the ball up in the air. But a lot of conversation today is going to be about the red zone. And it was nauseating. The Saints have been one of the best red zone offenses and red zone defenses in the NFL this year. They've been top 5 in both. On Sunday, they allowed the Bengals to score touchdowns in each of their red zone trips. Meanwhile, the Saints scored 1 touchdown in 5 red zone trips. 1 touchdown and 4 field goals. So yes, settling for field goals in the red zone killed you. It still shouldn't have mattered. Because we all agreed coming into this year that the strength of this team was the defense. Didn't we? Didn't we all understand coming into this season that the strength of this Saints team was going to be the defense? Where they've invested draft picks and money in free agency. They went and added Tyrann Mathieu and Marcus May at the safety spots. You had Marshawn Lattimore, who I know didn't play yesterday, but DeMario Davis, Pete Werner, all along that defensive front with first-round draft picks. We have talked so much about that Saints defense, which under Dennis Allen has been fantastic. And this year, they are just not. And that is the most concerning part of this. Because if your defense plays even adequately, you win the game. But your defense right now is allowing 26 points a game. That's 28th in the NFL out of 32 teams. You are one of the worst scoring defenses in the league despite all of the talent, all of the bodies, all of the money you've invested in that side of the ball. You are one of the worst in the league, and that's why you lost the game. Your offense put up 26 points at home. You got a turnover. That should have, you controlled the game, you controlled the clock, you ran for over 200 yards. That should have been enough to win that game, but your defense let you down. And listen, part of it, you tip your hat to Joe Burrow. Look, you're up 17-7. Cincinnati's facing a 3rd and 8 at the New Orleans 19-yard line, and your best defensive player has Joe Burrow dead to rights and can't get him on the ground.
Burrow trying to elude the pressure, and now he's going to take off and run it. He'll have a first down. He'll have a touchdown.
I mean, you went from up 17-7 in that moment, potentially sacking Burrow, making a field goal attempt even more difficult, and potentially staying up a touchdown, 17-10, to allowing that 19-yard scramble. Good for Joey B. He's awesome. I mean, we all know that. We know he's awesome. But your best defensive player's got to get that dude on the ground. Didn't. Same thing in the third quarter. You're up 26-21. You got 3rd and 7 at the New Orleans 44. And Burrow, again, eludes pressure, finds Jamar Chase for 8 yards. That ends up being the possession where they kick the field goal to bring it within one score, to bring it inside of one score, and then set up their game winner. So you had your opportunities in that ball game, and your defense let you down. If Marshawn Lattimore plays, do they win? Maybe. Maybe Lattimore doesn't give up the 60-yarder to Jamar Chase. But you had 2 guys. You had Bradley Roby and Tyrann Mathieu, each with an opportunity to get Chase on the ground or out of bounds, and neither one could do it. I'm not saying it's easy. Jamar Chase is great. But your NFL defenders, get the guy on the ground. Get him out of bounds. And time and again, your defense let you down on Sunday, which is the most concerning thing. Look, there's good, I thought Rashid Shaheed getting the 44-yard touchdown was phenomenal. That dude is fast. They found another gem in that guy. A little jet sweep action. I mean, isn't that a case in point of nobody cares about your injuries? You're down Deontay Hardy. So you elevate an undrafted rookie free agent, Rashid Shaheed. You give him the ball in a jet sweep, and he goes for 44 yards and a score. Looked like he belonged, didn't he? I mean, that's got to be the reality. I mean, you had Chris Harris running. I mean, Chris Harris has been on this roster for 10 days. I mean, he's already out there playing in, like, real meaningful moments defensively. And it is just massively disappointing, man. And you have got to go win on Thursday. You got to go win on Thursday. Arizona is a bad football team. So are you right now, by the way. But Arizona's bad. Short week travel is never easy, and I don't know that I would pick the Saints to win this game. Arizona's going to get DeAndre Hopkins back. I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. They're going to get DeAndre Hopkins back. Probably saw they traded for Robbie Anderson, so they've added a couple of weapons now to the offensive side of the ball. Cardinals are a 1.5-point favorite. They should be. Thursday night football is brutal. It's hard to play on a quick turnaround. It's even harder to do so when you got to travel, which is what the Saints have to do right now, and they're already down some of their best players. So this is a really tough turnaround. But you've already lost to Carolina, who's bad. And if you lose to Arizona, who's bad, you look ahead on that schedule and you go, where are the wins? Where are the wins that allow you to get back into this thing? And I just don't see them. So I mean, you got the Raiders, the Ravens, you're at Pittsburgh. You still got to play the Rams, go to the Niners, to Tampa, home against Atlanta. You got to go to Browns. By that point, Deshaun Watson will be back. You got to go to Philly, who looks like the best team in the NFL, or are the best team in the NFL right now. And then home against a bad Carolina team to wrap it up. Where are the wins? How do you dig yourself out of this hole with that schedule if you keep losing to bad teams? You got to go win on Thursday if you want any prayer at all of finding yourself back into the mix for this division to hopefully be playing your best around the playoffs and go on a run. Otherwise, all of the hype, all of the expectation around this team was for naught, and before the calendar even flips to November, it's going to feel like the season's over. A little ahead of ourselves there. We will talk plenty about the Saints and the Cardinals. It's a sped-up week, so Dennis Allen did meet with the media today to start to look to the Cardinals. Saints aren't practicing today, but they will issue a practice and injury report as if they did. We already have an idea of who isn't going to be available for this team, but we'll get to that. All right, we're brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com. Locations all across the country. You can find the location nearest you at Michelli.com. To learn out about all of the services that they offer at Michelli.com. And, of course, they are hiring as well. Go to Michelli.com. Celebrating 75 years in business. Your partner for weighing and measurement equipment services since 1947. That is Michelli Weighing and Measurement. They are an ISO 17025 accredited laboratory. For a list of all of their products, all of their services, all of their calibration options, and the industries that they serve, get to the website, Michelli.com. Michelli.com. And hit the careers tab at the top to apply for a job. Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com. All right, we'll now got a break, go around the SEC. When we come back, sort of a different, I'm going to format around the SEC a little differently because I really just want to talk about Tennessee asking their fans for donations to replace goalposts. And LSU baseball has had one player defect already, and it's a popular one. We'll talk about that when we come back. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
At Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, we're happy to say we have vehicles in stock and more coming in at no markup. Don't pay over MSRP. Come on down to Corvell Toyota and choose your new Toyota today. That's Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Curbside pickup online or with Rouse's Market Shopping app, and let Rouse's personal shopper shop for you. Curbside pickup is free, and you pay the same price for groceries as in-store. Use code SAINTS20 and save $20 on orders of $100 or more. That's curbside convenience. Shop a style. Oh, yeah!
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit.
Let's go, defense!
We get it done.
With passion for our fans.
And love for our community. We are the Tigers.
Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
ITI's got all these programs. Once I started and learned everything about the school, it was worth it.
The challenges that ITI presented me with, it allowed me to build myself up.
All because of ITI, I actually was able to get a job within 3 months before graduation in my field.
Get the hands-on training you need for the job you've always wanted. With so many companies hiring right now, it's the perfect time to come to ITI Technical College. Enroll today for a better life.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
We'll get to around the SEC in just a quick second. Leah Van on Twitter, LSU outfielder Giovanni DiGiacomo, I guess former LSU outfielder Giovanni DiGiacomo is transferring to Duke. So Gio had entered the portal back in June, and now is heading to Duke. Josh Jordan is one of the assistants that Jay Johnson hired. Remember, he was at Duke, brought him over. I would imagine that he sort of helped facilitate this for Gio. I get that Gio was a fan favorite for a lot of people. Maybe it was the name, maybe it was the hair, maybe it was the speed. I don't know. The bottom line was he wasn't going to play on this team, which is why he entered the portal. And good luck to him at Duke. Hope he finds a lot of success there. But LSU baseball, here's what you need to know. We're going through fall ball right now. They're good. All right, it's after further review. We'll get to Cole Cubelic here in about 35 minutes from right now. Right now, let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions.
Yeah, so I really just want to spend around the SEC talking about this Tennessee tweet. Congrats to Tennessee for winning the game against Alabama. Had the money line, picked Tennessee. I think a lot of people picked Tennessee in that game. It was even on game day. You can kill the music, Muse. It's fine. Even on game day, I think everybody picked Tennessee on game day except for Herb Street, right?
That's right.
Herb Street's the only one that picked Bama. So Tennessee became a trendy pick, even though they were a 9-point dog. I think me, Terrio, and Erica on Friday all had Tennessee. I don't know. Did we pick it? I don't know if we all picked it, but
out of play on them if that counts.
Yeah, I mean, did you take the 9 or the money line?
9.
Yeah, I mean, it was smart to take the 9. It was so trendy that it almost felt like a sucker bet, but I kind of had more of the feeling like Vegas was a little late on Tennessee. And part of me gets it. If LSU or Pitt was your best win, I get it. But if you're watching, it's one of those things where the eyeball tells you more than the computer does. But anyway, so Tennessee beat Alabama. Good for them. First time in a decade and a half. Well, fans stormed the field, and they tore down the goalpost, which was really intense because Tennessee had security presence, and the fans overwhelmed the security presence and tore down the goalposts. Well, Tennessee tweeted, y'all remember how we tore down the goalposts, hauled them out of Neal and dumped them in the Tennessee River? Yeah, that was awesome. Anywho, turns out in order to play next week's game, we need goalposts on our field. Could y'all help us out? And they posted a link to a GoFundMe for fans to be able to help pay for the goalposts. I and basically everyone else replied and crushed them for this because Tennessee does about $140 million in annual football revenue. They have an endowment of more than $1.3 billion, and here they are asking for money to replace the goalposts. Tennessee fans have stepped up. They've already raised $147,000. It's 98% of the projected goal, which I think it might have been at 150. So they have raised enough money to replace the goalposts. What I'll push back against a little bit is, and I'll point directly to Wes Rucker, who Wes is a good dude. He's come on the show a bunch. I've known him for professionally for a long time, and Wes kind of clapped back at a lot of people who were criticizing Tennessee. It's fair to say, I mean, you like, I'm not missing something here. Everybody was criticizing Tennessee for this, right?
Pretty much, yes.
So, I mean, if you just go look at that tweet and then look at the replies to the tweet, it's pretty much a consensus that everyone was criticizing Tennessee for asking their fans or whoever for money. But then, hey, here you go. Like, let's just look at the replies. Pay for it yourselves, you money gouging crooks. Let's see. This one says, this you, and it's a screen grab of their $1.34 billion endowment. That's from David Fucillo. Paul, I don't want you to, I don't want to just keep scrolling live because on Twitter, you never know what might be there. We're just seeing what may pop up here. I'm just dying. They're saying it's going to cost $150K. Am I tripping? This high expletive tuition isn't enough. I mean, you could honestly just say you're poor. And basically, everyone just crushed them.
You're poor.
Everyone just crushed them on Twitter for this. So whatever. So Wes Rucker, back to the point, said, I can't believe how many people don't recognize that was a joke or just a general fundraising opportunity. And I did reply to him, and I'm paraphrasing what Wes said there. Why, if you have to explain the joke, by nature, right? If you have to explain the joke, then it's a bad joke, right?
No, yes, correct.
I mean, this was just a very poorly timed, tone-deaf thing amid a great celebration, an historic win for that program. First time in 15 years you beat Alabama. Game day's there, probably a Heisman moment type deal for Hendon Hooker, all that sort of stuff. And that came across as very poorly timed. If you wanted to ask for general contributions, cool. Capitalize on it, great, all that stuff. The way they did it was just kind of stupid. Anyway, that's Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy Trey Beal and our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products, online at gcopnet.com. gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Face-to-face sales service after the sale. That's what you get and have for more than 40 years, 45 years to be exact. They're at Gulf Coast Office Products. gcopnet.com, the official office equipment provider of LSU athletics. All right, y'all, it is after further review. We will recap our What to Watch every Thursday. Muse, Paulie, and I tell you 3 things that we're watching during the football weekend, and then on Monday we go over those 3 things. So we'll recap that when we come back, and we'll reset Brian Kelly as well, who met with the media today to recap the Florida win and start to preview Ole Miss. If you have questions, comments, you can get them in. Email us, tweet us, jump in the Bayou Ford YouTube chat, or text in the 225-396-4400, 396-4400. 396-4400. Lots of ways you can get involved in the show. We'll wrap up hour number 1 next.
AFR.
I want to remind you about the Baton Rouge General Hospital, and most importantly, the Baton Rouge General is reminding women all throughout the month of October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, to protect your pumpkins and to get that mammogram. brgeneral.org is where you can go to learn more. I've mentioned this before, and I'll say it again and continue to say it all month. Both my mom and my aunt are breast cancer survivors, and in both of their cases, early detection was key to saving their lives. 1 in 8 women will develop an invasive form of breast cancer in her lifetime. And 85% of women diagnosed have no family history. So knowing your risk is so important, and most importantly is getting that annual mammogram. So, ladies, you know what to do. Gentlemen, remind the ladies in your life that if they haven't scheduled their annual mammogram, to do just that. Baton Rouge General Hospital can help. Online, brgeneral.org.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $11,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 72 months on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big V and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret, the best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
after further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
All right, wrapping up hour number 1, brought to you by Relief Windows. Glad you're with us. All right, every Monday we check in on what we told you to watch for over your football weekend. So let's hit it.
We watched. Now let's review.
All right, Muse, fire away.
Yep. All right. I was watching Oklahoma State and TCU, and that was an awesome football game.
It was.
Oklahoma State jumps out to the 24-7 lead. TCU comes racing back. 14-point fourth quarter. They tie it, go to overtime, win it 43-40, move to 6-0, the last undefeated in the Big 12, and inside track to the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, I had Oklahoma State plus 3.5. So they had a huge lead for much of that game and ended up losing. But I'll take the cover. Paulie.
I was watching Penn State and Michigan.
Yeah, that was not a
Michigan
good game.
totally dominated.
That was terrible.
41-17.
That was not good.
Both running backs, Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum, rushed for over 150 yards each, 2 touchdowns each, and they both had a run of 60 yards or more on back-to-back plays. Total domination.
Yeah, it was. So I was keeping an eye on if the Carolina Panthers would get an interim bump. They fire Matt Rule. How would they do going out west to take on the Rams? Basically, all that happened is that Robbie Anderson got interim bumped. Steve Wilkes told him to leave the field, and then they traded him to Arizona.
So, hell of a bump.
That's a hell of a bump. So the Saints will see Robbie Anderson this week in Arizona. But the Panthers lost 24-10, and they will look like they'll continue to suck. And the other thing we talked about, though, was would they basically open up the fire sale? Would that, because one of the things that, like, would they start trading players? Well, Robbie Anderson's one, so keep an eye. Christian McCaffrey, Derek Brown. There are other guys that should be on the trading block, and we'll see.
Wanted to see if Arkansas was going to lose 4 straight games. They didn't, but they weren't overly impressive in their win against BYU. Matt, we were talking about that in the hall. They gave up 471 yards, but won the turnover battle and put up 52. So I guess Woo Pig, I don't know.
Their defense is poo.
It's not very good.
Their defense is poo pig.
And
so
I will say BYU's is not much better.
LSU is going to win that game.
Yeah.
Fayetteville.
Bills, Chiefs.
Yeah.
Bills get their redemption from last year's playoff loss. It was a back and forth first half. It was tied 10-10 halftime. Chiefs take the lead late, but then Josh Allen leads the Bills on a 12-play scoring drive. Touchdown to Dawson Knox with 1 minute left. But Patrick Mahomes gets the ball, and then he inevitably throws the interception to end the game.
Cool that Dawson Knox scored the game winner as well. He's been through a tough year. You know, his brother was Ole Miss tight end who tragically died earlier this year. So it pointed up to the sky when he caught the game winner. It was a pretty cool moment. I had told you keep an eye on Cade York. Missed the game winner a week ago, and there was a lot of fire. Now look, the Browns got skunked 38-15 by the Patriots, but Cade York was 3 of 3 on field goals with a long of 51. Did not attempt a point after. They only scored 1 touchdown, but and went for 2. But Cade York, nice bounce back, albeit in a losing effort, but was perfect on the day.
And we were looking at Clemson taking on Florida State, one of their last remaining tests, and it might end up being their last test.
Notre Dame stinks.
They have to go to Notre Dame, but the Irish are not very good. It was relatively inconsequential for Clemson. They were up 34-14. Some late scores by Florida State made it more respectable, but Dabo's crew, they're rolling.
That was one of the ones Phil Steele told you on Friday, load up on Clemson. They were not going to have an issue, and they did not.
Cowboys-Eagles on Sunday Night Football. Eagles took the W, but they went up early, 20-0. It looked like it was going to be a blowout.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dallas and your guy, Cooper Rush.
No.
Yep.
Cut it to 20-17. Cooper Rush did throw 3 interceptions, 2 of them to an old friend of ours, C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Saw that.
Eagles improved to 6-0 for the first time since 2004.
The last time they went to the Super Bowl, incidentally. And I was looking at this actually turned out to be a bit prophetic. I said, well, we see Hendon Hooker's Heisman moment. 385 yards, 5 touchdowns. Hendon Hooker at DraftKings right now is plus 450 on the Heisman odds, behind only C.J. Stroud of Ohio State, who was idle this past week. Needless to say, if Tennessee does go on to finish off an unbeaten season, we will look back at that day on Rocky Top and say that was, in fact, Hendon Hooker's Heisman moment. That is what we were watching the college football weekend. All right, we're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com, new and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. They do have inventory on the lot, so if you're in the market for a new vehicle, go see our friends at South Point Volkswagen, new and certified pre-owned. If they don't have what you want, they'll get it. Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. Go see my friends at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland or southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? All right, Brian Kelly turns the page to Ole Miss. What did the head coach have to say? That's next on AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Cubelic Tire and Auto Service, ChubelesTire.com. Bumper-to-bumper auto service, name brand tires at wholesale prices. 54 years in business. They opened up their doors back in 1968. 54 years later, still abiding by those same principles where they treat you like family. ChubelesTire.com. It's just what they've been doing for more than half a century now. Yes, a lot of places can sell you tires. There's discount tire stores. There's the membership clubs. There's the big box stores. Cubels will still beat all of them on price with their manufacturer's offers coupled with their in-house offers. Tell you all the time, ask about the Cubels credit card. You'll always save when you use the Cubels credit card. And not only will they sell you tires, bumper-to-bumper auto service. So if you need oil changes or tire rotations or check on those squeaky brakes or the check engine lights on, Cubels can do all that as well. But they treat you like family. Customer service is what has and will continue to set them apart at Cubels, where we keep you rolling.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 60 months on new 2022 Ford F-150s. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million-mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Shop, shop. Order curbside pickup online or with Rouse's Market Shopping app and let Rouse's personal shopper shop for you. Curbside pickup is free and you pay the same price for groceries as in-store. Use code SAINTS20 and save $20 on orders of $100 or more. That's curbside convenience. Shopper style. Oh, yeah!
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I'm Jayden Daniels. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jaydacody.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news, Washington quarterback Carson Wentz will have surgery today on his right ring finger. The team not yet sure how much time he may miss. With Cardinals receiver Marquise Brown sidelined indefinitely by a foot injury, Arizona acquired receiver Robbie Anderson from the Panthers for a 2024 sixth-round pick and a 2025 seventh-rounder. Anderson was kicked out of yesterday's game by Carolina interim coach Steve Wilks following sideline arguments with his position coach. This trade is good for both sides in the end, believes ESPN's Mike Tannenbaum.
First of all, from Carolina, you're trying to establish Steve Wilks, and you just can't have that, and you want to set a standard. So no surprise there. And then on the other end, Arizona's offense has been very inconsistent this year, so big shot in the arm to get not only Robbie Anderson guys, but DeAndre Hopkins coming off of his suspension.
Mike Tannenbaum on Canty and Carlin. DeAndre Hopkins scheduled to return from his 6-game PED suspension this week. One night after staving off elimination, the Yankees host the Guardians in a winner-take-all Game 5 in the ALDS tonight, 6:30 Eastern, ESPN Radio.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
The Cardinals need to move on, as far as I'm concerned, from Cliff Kingsbury. Don't look at the previous 4 years he gave. Forget that. You look at this year. Just like you did Steve Wilks, it's time to cut bait.
The guys will be back Tuesday morning at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 2. Off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Cole Cubelic in about 15 minutes from right now. We'll recap the weekend in the SEC. Bottom of this hour, we'll get back to the Saints. Dennis Allen did meet the media today because they have a short week, of course. They play Thursday night football in Arizona. So today's day off. Tomorrow's a practice day. Wednesday's a travel day. And then they play on Thursday. So quick turnaround. We'll get into some Saints, Cardinals, Dennis Allen preview in the week in about at the bottom of this hour. By the way, you can always text us in the 225-396-4400. Thanks to Brad, Como, Daniel Landry, who were both like, hey, idiot, the Eagles actually won the Super Bowl just like 5 years ago. That's so true. They did in 2017, the Philly special, all that stuff. During the last segment, we were talking about the Eagles starting 6-0 for the first time since 2004, and I said that's the last time they went to the Super Bowl, but it wasn't. They did go to the Super Bowl that year and lost with Don McNabb and T.O. playing with a broken leg, all that stuff, but they did win a Super Bowl a few years ago. I don't know if I want to do the whole. I guess we can. I feel like I should. The Tom Petty won't back down stuff. I'll tell you this. And please get that song, by the way, please. Like if you don't have it ready, then come. That like you should just have that the whole day today. I mean, there's no excuse not to have that ready today. So first of all, I thought it was very cool. I thought playing won't back down at the end of the third quarter was really cool. The way that they got the crowd involved, I thought it was awesome. What I didn't love was Joe Tessitore mentioning it every other play. And I'm a little bummed about this, man, because you know what? By the way, Muse, kill that for a second. I'm going to play this because LSU put this on their Twitter and really all their social media. Brian Kelly did a pretty heady thing. He talked to his team about that, kind of preparing them for the moment, right at the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter. Here you go. And I'm a little bummed about this. Wait, hang on. We got two things playing. I don't know what's going on there. Sorry. Apologies. Let's try it again. Here we go. Brian Kelly. This was a video that LSU posted. This is Brian Kelly talking to his team last week.
To me, this is where you start thinking about
I'm going to remember that song because I'm going to sing that song in the fourth quarter. I'm going to remember that because that's my confidence level. Because going into the fourth quarter, we're going to have this team. And so I'm going to be thinking in terms of, I want to know the words to that song.
I got goosebumps just thinking about that. I thought it was really well done. By the way, when you want to talk about a coach, I don't want to overstate this, but you want to talk about a coach that, no, it's okay, thank you. We're good, thank you. I don't need to hear it again. A coach that has that much attention to detail, think of it this way. Like when you're preparing your team during the course of a game week, you're trying to prepare them for what they are going to experience. And a lot of times that's, for a lot of those guys, it was the first time ever playing in Gainesville. So it was the first time they were going to see that, experience that. And so to prepare them for that lessens any chance, not that they would be overwhelmed in that moment, but also allows them to maybe elevate and enjoy that moment. Now, what happened immediately afterwards was an 81-yard touchdown run by Anthony Richardson, and that was a little bit of a no crap. But still, it does, I think, illustrate the attention to detail. I was thinking about this, and I don't want to go off on Joe Tessitore, but I am a little bummed. Because the more I realize, I think that was the fourth time this year. Didn't we say that the fourth time?
Yeah, 4.
So the fourth time we've had Tessitore and McElroy on the LSU call. And by the way, I think Joe Tessitore is a hell of a nice guy and a really good broadcaster. He's a great boxing announcer. He doesn't really meet my sensibilities for football. And LSU is going to play in that window a lot. So, like whenever we had to hear over and over again that it was Robbie Ashford's birthday or it was Tom Petty Day, Joe Tess tends to belabor points at times as a broadcaster, and it's not my favorite thing in the world. So, I just, man, as a kid, and not even as a kid, even into adulthood, Ron Franklin and Mike Gottfried were awesome. With Adrian Karsten, that 645 ESPN window that LSU played on so often. Ron Franklin was this very erudite, stately man who was, sounded like the SEC was from Ole Miss. It worked. It worked. I always enjoyed hearing those guys on LSU calls. LSU's playing in this window a lot, and I'm glad they are. It means you're going to get a lot of Tessitore and McElroy. Thank God Won't Back Down wasn't a Joe Tess drinking game on Saturday because we all would have died. And I'm guessing that we're going to get Joe Tess and McElroy for LSU Bama as well. We'll find out next week. But Tennessee, Georgia is the same day as LSU Bama. So you better well believe that CBS is going to take number 1 against number 3. They're not passing on that game. So Tennessee, Georgia is going to be 2:30. LSU Bama is going to be a night game in Tiger Stadium, which is awesome. But you're probably going to get Joe Tessitore and Craig McElroy on the call, which is inherently not awesome. All right, it's after further review. Brian Kelly today did meet with the media, and one of the things he talked about was asked about, of course, was the day that Kayshon Boutte had, which is something a lot of people have waited for. After the game, Brian Kelly kind of highlighted how good of a week Kayshon had.
I made him game day captain because of the way he practiced this week. He, by far, set the standard in terms of how he went to practice, and it showed in the way he played. He was faster than anybody. He broke tackles. He was a difference maker. If he plays at that level, we're a different football team.
That's fantastic. And it also underscores something that we've talked about a lot, man. I know that a lot of LSU fans have been critical of Kayshon, and I think a lot of you just convinced yourself that he's disengaged and not a good teammate and all that sort of stuff. And any day he doesn't have a great Saturday, you use that as validation of your point. I'm not saying this is everybody, but I think this is a lot of people based on the feedback I've gotten. And what I'm telling you is when you ask people around the program, you hear more of that, what Brian Kelly just said. He had a great week of practice. He was faster than everybody in the way he repped at practice. And, that's what you hear about Kayshon. The thing is, he's just not a very vocal guy. Kayshon's not going to run to social media and put stuff out there. He's not going to, do you realize Kayshon Boutte, preseason All-American, didn't go to SEC Media Days? It's not because, he's a bad guy or anything. He's just not great in front of the camera. He's just kind of a reserved personality. So I think sometimes that works against him when people have built these narratives. But that day was awesome. And the other thing, too, was getting the ball to him early, which was intentional. Brian Kelly talked about that today.
We've been at this, this had been the 7th game, and we've been confronted with those situations and haven't made them. But I don't think that there was any hesitation that we wouldn't go back to it, because those two have been working hard in practice and trying to build that relationship where we find you. And if you remember in that situation, he kind of found some green grass, and he was going to be the primary on that play, and Jayden got flushed out of the pocket, but he kept his eyes looking for him, and it was really the first time when those two found each other, if you will, in terms of getting the ball. And then that drive, quite frankly, we had a lot of mistakes. We made a lot of mistakes. That drive ended up in the end zone because of those two guys. They made big plays, and that's what sometimes you need, is your big-time players have to step up. And I think that was the first time this year that our best players stepped up to that level and made plays.
Which was obviously fantastic to see. So onward they go. And I really am going to be interested to continue to watch Kayshon to see if that continues to develop as they move throughout this week and into next week and beyond. But the play he was talking about was on LSU's first possession at 3rd and 8, and it completed the 40-yarder to Kayshon, which was fantastic to see. And then, they also had a 3rd and 15 on that drive, and Kayshon caught the ball on the sideline for 14 yards where he was basically inside of 2 defenders. So a really difficult catch. It's so much of this is just a process. So much of it is just a process. And you're through 7 playing dates, and it continues to improve. It feels a lot like, as I've said often, 2012 with Mettenberger, where it was slow to start. By the time he got to November, he was churning. 2018 with Burrow, who, was not good for the first month of the season. Didn't throw a touchdown pass the entire month of October. But as it went along, got better and better and better, and you started to see, him catapult to that next level, which was awesome. And, hopefully that only continues further from here. All right, it is After Further Review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. We'll knock out a break and recap the week in the SEC with Cole Cubelic when we come back on AFR.
AFR. It's a raving fan shout-out. Presented by Darren James & Associates, brokered by eXp Realty.
Love telling you about Darren James & Associates and love sharing great 5-star reviews. This comes from the Williams family, who said, "This has been our second listing with Darren James, and his response time is impeccable. Just what you need when selling a home. His team goes above and beyond to keep you informed during the entire process. We highly recommend Darren and his team for all of your buying and selling needs. He's a transparent realtor, genuinely cares about his clients. From start of listing to the end of the closing, Darren and his team are hands-on to walk you through the process. Here's wishing Darren and his team nothing but future success and blessings." That's from the Williams family, a 5-star review at Rate My Agent of Darren James & Associates, powered by eXp Realty. 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com. Buying or selling, think Darren James.
Think real estate, think Darren James. I've got that blue sky, I've got that sunshine.
At Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, we're happy to say that we have vehicles in stock and more coming in at no markup. Don't pay over MSRP. Come on down to Corvell Toyota and choose your new Toyota today. That's Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
ITI's got all these programs. Once I started and learned everything about the school, it was worth it.
The challenges that ITI presented me with, it allowed me to build myself up.
All because of ITI, I actually was able to get a job within 3 months before graduation in my field.
Get the hands-on training you need for the job you've always wanted. With so many companies hiring right now, it's the perfect time to come to ITI Technical College. Enroll today for a better life.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. He enjoys Victory cigars and pancake blocks. It's time to preview this week in the SEC with Cole Cubelic, presented by Roosters Men's Grooming.
Cole, we appreciate it as always, man. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing very well, man. Speaking of Victory cigars, they were ablaze on Rocky Top on Saturday. Man, if I had to ask you your biggest takeaway from that game, either side of the either locker room, what was it?
That it was a hell of a coaching job by Golish and Heupel. They put together a masterful game plan. You go back, I tweeted it earlier, 4 of Jalen Hyatt's 5 touchdowns, stack into the boundary, stack into the boundary, bunt into the boundary, twin set into the boundary, and they did their homework on how to effectively get Alabama into coverages that will benefit you. They added some extra motions to be able to help with that. And then even some of the little wrinkles, like little bitty things, they changed their counter where they run a lot of split zones. So they'll block zone to the right. The tight end comes across. Everybody does it. LSU does it. We've all seen split zone, and everybody does it because you steal eyes. Nobody does it better than Ole Miss right now. But every team runs it, and they run a lot of that. Well, now they run it and bring the tight end back like it's split zone, but he stops and goes back into the line of scrimmage in between the guard and the tackle as an insert as the second puller on the counter. Like, that's a little wrinkle. The 2-point conversion play, the shovel pass, I don't think they've run that this year. If not much. But they knew that Will Anderson and those edge defenders were going to be attacking the mesh point. Well, how do you neutralize that? Invite them upfield, shovel pass back underneath them. So I just thought it was a great game plan, man, offensively. They got good personnel, but they knew that they had the personnel. If they could get into Alabama what they wanted them in, they'd have success. And I thought the offensive line played great. I thought Darnell Wright had a really nice game. They kept their quarterback clean for the majority of that game, and that was my biggest takeaway. There will never be anything related to officials or flags or penalties as my biggest takeaway of a football game, because I'm not a penalty vulture. So that will never come out of my mouth.
Jalen Hyatt scored 5 touchdowns.
I say 4?
It's no, you said 5. I was just reiterating it. Like that's so absurd.
Well, I had a guy. Literally, he called in during a break on our show today because I was talking about that shovel pass, and I was like, that shovel pass that you saw on the touchdown, like they got Will Anderson upfield and went back underneath. He took the time out of his day to call in during a commercial break and have a 2-minute conversation with my producer about how I was wrong, and that shovel pass is a 2-point conversion and not a touchdown. Like, it was that important to him to tell me I was wrong about that, and it just reminded me of that scene in Clerks. Like, I hope it feels so good. I hope it feels so good to tell somebody else that you were wrong. Like, I didn't appreciate his ruse by doing that, but
that is a great reference. By the way, you need to watch Clerks 3 if you haven't seen it yet. It was really good. They tied it together well.
2 is a letdown. It'd be hard for me to watch 3 because 1 is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen in my life.
So watch 3. It basically ignores 2 and ties it back together to 1. So you need to go watch it. Okay. I'm a fan. Trust me, I'm a fan. And I agree with you on 2. You got to go watch it. I like all the Kevin Smith
Where
stuff.
do I get that, by the way?
You see, it was a limited theater release, and I don't know where you can find it now, but you can find it somewhere. Just find it.
I might have to go to one of the 7 remaining red boxes in the United States and buy a DVD player to actually watch that.
I don't think so, but you can find it somewhere. Okay, I found it. Like, I don't go to the movie ever. I don't watch movies anymore. But I managed to, like, I had a buddy tell me, hey, this is happening. You need to go see it. So I did on, like, a Sunday night. But anyway, go see it. So, hey, Tennessee, are they going to beat Georgia?
They have a good chance to. The problem is I still don't know exactly what Tennessee's defense is just yet. Their pass defense is atrocious. We know that. Yeah. But they do look better up front, like 21 and 11. They can cause problems. And I did not expect the interior Tennessee's defensive line to even be average this year. They lost their best player a year ago who did a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of dirty work, and I just wasn't sure they had the other bodies to be able to step in there. Give Rodney Garner a lot of credit what he's done with that group. He really has done a nice job getting those kids ready. And they've got, 6 and 9 who are pretty good edge guys. They move them around. Tim Banks doing a good job with that. But Georgia's offensive line's coming around. They're getting a little bit better. And they're big and physical and nasty. That will be the matchup to watch there because I think Kirby will go in wanting to try to control the pace of that game, take that old school approach to, contrasting styles like we possess the ball, limit your possessions, so on and so forth. But Georgia can also be explosive at times. And if they get, by that time, I think they'll have A.D. Mitchell back. If they get Arian Smith back, and those two are close to being healthy, now Georgia's pretty explosive at receiver. You've got the ultimate, Swiss Army knife in Brock Bowers. You can also get bigger with Darnell Washington. So they'll have a lot of different ways to attack that defense. And Kirby can take what happened with that game plan right there and say, okay, we're not going to do that. This will not be how we play. Basically, it comes down to how Alabama rolls their safeties into the boundary, pattern matching, looking like you're running zone, then going to man. Almost everything Alabama does ends up in man, somehow, some way. So you'll pattern match, you start in zone, where the receivers go, they end up taking you, turns into man. They will find different ways. That's why 2019 LSU was so good because everything they did pre-snap, it forced your hand to tell you what coverage you were in and who had who. And then Joe could sit there and say, well, I know he ain't covering that guy, so we'll throw it to him. That's just what it was. Football ain't hard. So Kirby's going to have to figure out how to alter some of their coverages and then find out. I thought Alabama was too aggressive, too. I thought Pete really came after him, and I didn't think he needed to do that. I know they weren't really getting home, but I just didn't think you needed to dedicate 7 or 8 guys to try to get to the quarterback. You make yourself way too vulnerable in other spots. So I'll be interested to see how Georgia plays it differently on defense, but Tennessee can absolutely get them. I mean, hell, they can get anybody just because they can score. When you can score, you're going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And go back to historically. Think about this. So Jalen Hyatt's Tennessee's 3rd receiver. That's their number 3 receiver. You start thinking about some of the teams that have had real success against Alabama. You know, Alabama. You go back to your receivers.
Wait, hang on 1 second, Cole. Put him on hold real quick. Cole, we're losing your cell there. Let's see if we can reconnect with Cole. I don't want to lose that point. We're going to get Cole back. I do want to ask him about LSU and Florida, of course, as well. All right, he's going to call back. Let me take this quick opportunity to remind you about the Williamson Eye Center. Call 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEYE.com. That's WilliamsonEYE.com for the Williamson Eye Center. Great opportunity right now. Something that it's been happening a ton is people have really been calling right now about the custom lens, the ICL, the Williamson Eye Center. It's a great opportunity. Remember about LASIK. Go for that free consultation. I can't recommend enough to do that. And also remember, if you have FSA or HSA dollars, those can count toward LASIK, but that expires at the end of the year. So right now is the time to go for that consultation at the Williamson Eye Center. Call 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEYE.com. All right, we got Cole back with us. Cole, your phone was going out a little bit. For the sake of time, I'm going to move because I do want to get some thoughts on LSU and Florida as well. LSU, they got trounced by Tennessee. They bounced back with the win. What was most impressive about LSU's ability to rebound on Saturday?
I think the front seven, I think middle of the defense, 99-92, I thought had good games, were disruptive, did some different things. You play that offense that Billy runs, you're going to give up some plays on the ground. It's going to happen because they're just dedicated to it. And then with that kind of mobility at quarterback, they're going to hit some. But I thought altogether, that group played really well. And there's going to be ups and downs with this team because of either talent gaps that they don't have, that they wish they had, that they want, they need. But the offense it seems to be sort of gaining a better understanding of how things operate, where things need to be. So there's still some disappointing parts, some letdown parts. I mean, obviously, I think they're still a little bit too reliant on quarterback's legs, but they've started now. They've attached some things to it, like you see a little option play, or you see a screen off of it, or you see different ways that are designed to allow Jayden Daniels to just go ahead and run. And when you design them, obviously you're going to have more blockers. It's going to be a better chance to be successful. So I just think that there continues to be this morphing of the coaching staff, what they want, what they need, understanding what the players are capable of, and kind of putting those together.
Where, I don't want to say like it is the ceiling, but if they keep progressing, like let's look at this week when LSU is going to bring in Ole Miss. How does that matchup look for LSU against the Rebels?
Well, I think a couple of things. Number one, I love the way the third level of LSU's defense plays the run. Like the safeties literally have no regard for human life. They have no regard for their own bodies. Like they will come down and put their bodies on the line to play the run. You're going to have to do that against Ole Miss because they're going to hit the perimeter so hard in the run game that you're going to have guys that do it, and you're going to have guys that do it on the backside because they give you misdirection all over the place. So linebackers will be taken out of plays. Other safeties will be taken out of plays. Defensive ends will be taken out of plays. You need different guys to come down and play the run and get ball carriers to the ground. And they've got ball carriers that run with serious authority. Judkins is one of my favorite players to watch in the league this year. Like he does not run like a freshman. He's super smooth and just has power. So I think that part of it is going to help. I think Auburn showed you some things with heavier sets, multiple tight end sets, maybe even some stuff into the boundary, that the run game can happen against them. Like we've been wondering this whole time, like, okay, how real is the Ole Miss defense? We don't really know. They haven't played great offenses. Tulsa has a great offense, but they lost their quarterback in that game. They were moving the ball until he went out. It's like, what are they really? Well, now I think you have a little bit of a blueprint against a team that, by the way, had not blocked anybody all year, actually got them blocked a little bit and then ran the ball. Like, if you'd have told me that Auburn ran for what they ran for in that game, I said there's no way in hell they lost. But
Yeah.
it's just not. But I would have never believed that the other team ran 69 times for 485 or whatever it was. Unless you tell me I'm watching Air Force, then I would have believed that. So I think that there are some things on paper offensively. If the offensive line can just be somewhat healthy, somewhat together, somewhat having an understanding of, who's going to be in the lineup, and because they've got guys that come off the ball and give pretty good effort, and the backs are beginning to understand when to get north and south, I do think that LSU can have sustained success on the ground in this game. It's just going to be the visual deception that comes with how Ole Miss runs the football makes it almost impossible to stop, because everything that you normally key is going to lead you in a different direction or to something else that's not exactly what you need to be playing, so that makes it difficult. But I think they can control the ball for a certain amount of time. I don't think that they can drop punts and kickoffs and get behind early and find a way to win this game. But I love the way that the speed that they have at linebacker and the physical ability to come up and get guys to the ground at the third level will be of great benefit to the way that Ole Miss runs the ball.
He's Cole Cubelic on Twitter, at Cole Cubelic from the SEC Network. Joins us every Monday, courtesy of our friends at Roosters Men's Grooming Center. Enjoy the week, man. We'll look forward to doing it again next Monday.
Yeah, let's just talk clerks the whole segment next week. Like I say, we'll take our favorite scenes, and the ones that are radio safe, we'll have a discussion about those.
Well, none of them are radio safe, but every time I work on a holiday, I tweet out the image of the shoe polish bed sheet. I assure you we're open today to let people know that I'm actually doing a show on a holiday. So a big fan. Go see Clerks 3. I'm telling you, find it, all right?
I'm going to try to find it. I will do my best, and I'm going to see it. But I still think there's no comedic scene better than the lady in the video store when she holds up the two videos and he's like, oh, it's great. She holds up the same one. He's like, no, it sucks. Don't rent it. She's like, it was the same one.
I don't appreciate your ruse. Your cunning attempt to trick me.
Exactly.
So good. All right, man. Thank you. We appreciate it.
See ya.
All right, that's Cole Cubelic, brought to you by Roosters Men's Grooming Center. 2 locations in Baton Rouge, Town Center, and in the Highland Marketplace, which is directly across from Blue Bayou. Could not recommend Roosters highly enough. Even if you're like me and you're follically challenged, that's irrelevant. Go do the straight edge shave. You'll get a great haircut. It's relaxing, shoulder massage. The gentleman's choice is what it's called. Check it out. Roosters Men's Grooming Center. Proudly bringing you our conversations with Cole every single Monday here on AFR. All right, let me knock out a break, y'all. We'll come back. It is now officially, we can't really dwell on Saints-Bengals because it's over and the Saints have to turn around and play on Thursday. So today, Dennis Allen met with the media. Tomorrow they practice. Wednesday they travel. Thursday they play. It's a quick week, quick turnaround. So we will let you hear what Dennis Allen had to say today, starting the preparation for Arizona. That's when we continue on AFR.
AFR.
Hey, look, if you need a place to watch Monday Night Football tonight, you know the place to go. It's at Pluckers, Nicholson, just south of campus. Bluebonnet right in front of the Mall of Louisiana tonight, and every Monday is all-you-can-eat wings at both Pluckers locations. And tonight is a great night to get by Pluckers because, yes, you do have Monday Night Football. For some reason, they put the Denver Broncos back on prime time, which just feels kind of cruel. But you do get to watch the Chargers. So Denver and the Chargers tonight on Monday Night Football, and you've got Cleveland and the Yankees. It's a win-or-go-home game. Game 5 here in the divisional round. It's in the Bronx, 6:07 p.m. first pitch for the Guardians. I think it's the Indians. No, just say Cleveland. For the Guardians and the Yankees. We need a place to watch. Get by Pluckers. Watch the baseball game. Watch the football game. Eat all-you-can-eat wings for one low price tonight and every Monday at Pluckers. Nicholson, Bluebonnet, dining, carryout, or delivery. It's Pluckers, where if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
ITI's got all these programs. Once I started and learned everything about the school, it was worth it.
The challenges that ITI presented me with, it allowed me to build myself up.
All because of ITI, I actually was able to get a job within 3 months before graduation in my field.
Get the hands-on training you need for the job you've always wanted. With so many companies hiring right now, it's the perfect time to come to ITI Technical College. Enroll today for a better life.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $11,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 72 months on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Service Mastery Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Mastery Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Mastery Elite, the trusted choice.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Look, we got a short week to try to get ready for Arizona, so really that's where the focus is right now. There's some things that we got to correct. I think I pretty much covered everything from the game last night, but now we got a short week to get ready to travel to Arizona, so that's where the focus is.
That was Dennis Allen on Monday. The Saints are up against it. Shared this stat with you from Pro Football Reference. Since 1990, teams that have started 2-4 make the playoffs just 10.4% of the time. There's a massive difference because had the Saints won that game and moved to 3-3, now at 3-3 you don't have a great chance of making the playoffs, but it's 34.5%. So while there's still a far greater chance of you not making the playoffs at 3-3 than making them, you're talking about a 24% different swing here from 34% to 10% difference in that one game. So, man, Saints are they are up against it here, but they got to go find a way to win at Arizona, because if they can't win at Arizona, it is over. I mean, mathematically, it's not, because even if you fall to 2-5, you have 10 games to go, and theoretically you could win all 10. So mathematically it's not, but realistically you would be done. And especially because two of the worst teams on your schedule are Carolina and Arizona. You've already lost to Carolina, and if you go on the road and lose to Arizona, you start to look and say, okay, well, where are the wins? I get it, it's the NFL, it's the any given Sunday thing, which is true, but it's also realistic to look and go, where are the wins when you lose a game at Carolina that you should have won? When you go here to Arizona on a short week and you have a great chance to beat Arizona because they've really struggled offensively, but these are the ones that if you want to dig yourself out of this hole, you got to get. The interesting thing about Arizona is, man, they are Arizona's bad offensively, and that is putting it mildly. Arizona yesterday, God, they were bad. They scored 9 points on Sunday. That was tied for the second fewest under Cliff Kingsbury. And the Cardinals have yet to score 30 points this season, and they've reached 400 yards just once. They've been bad. I mean, Arizona offensively has been really bad this year, but that's where this gets interesting because Arizona has traded for Robbie Anderson from the Carolina Panthers, who, if you're not familiar with Anderson, played for Matt Rule at Temple, was with the Jets, was kind of on the outs. Rule brought him to Carolina, and he kind of had a bit of a career resurgence, had a 1,000-yard season back in 2020 in the COVID year. Got in a fight on the sideline, a shouting match with the receivers coach. Steve Wilkes, the interim, sent him to the sideline, or sent him to the locker room. And then today they traded him. So Carolina is going to get a couple of picks for Robbie Anderson, but he goes to Arizona, so now the Saints have to deal with him. For what it's worth, when the Saints played the Panthers in Week 2, Robbie Anderson had just one catch for 14 yards. But he is a good player. This also happens to be the week that that Arizona is getting DeAndre Hopkins back. Here was Dennis Allen talking about getting DeAndre Hopkins back off his suspension.
In terms of the player, I mean, obviously he's a hell of a player, and so I think it changes a little bit in that regard. I don't know that schematically it changes a lot of what they do, but just how they're trying to get that guy the ball changes.
A couple of other things that we've kind of learned. It certainly seems like the Saints are going to be without several of their key players. Jeff Duncan was the first to report that Marshawn Lattimore, Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, it is unlikely the Saints have those three players. So in a game where you're going to play Arizona, when they're getting DeAndre Hopkins back, they just traded for Robbie Anderson. They're trying to bolster their offense. It looks like you're going to go there without your best cornerback, who's still dealing with the abdominal issue. And on the flip side of it, it looks like you're not going to have Michael Thomas or Jarvis Landry. Chris Olave, they said there's optimism, according to Jeff Duncan, that Olave would play. So getting Chris Olave back would be a welcomed addition on the offense. As far as Dennis Allen, he was asked about Michael Thomas, and this is why I understand why it's getting concerning, because you go through basically a year and a half of trying to get him back to health, and you finally do that, and he looks like Michael Thomas again, and now he's got this foot injury. So Dennis Allen was asked if they considered putting Michael Thomas on IR now that he's already missed a couple of games.
That was a little bit of the discussion. We didn't feel like we wanted to go there at that point in time. And, I mean, he's progressing. We'll see where he's at. I think that's always the real balance that you go through, because some of these injuries, there's no crystal ball that says this is exactly, when somebody's going to be healthy enough to play. And, hindsight's 20/20, but, it's typically a pretty tough decision if you're going to put a player of that caliber on IR, even though they can return after 4 weeks. So you certainly don't want a guy like that missing a game if he's healthy enough to play.
Michael Thomas has played in just 3 of the Saints' 6 games so far this year. One more. Allen was asked if the injury is worse than they initially thought it was.
It was something that we felt like we were kind of in that range, but yet if things went well, we might be able to be, ahead of that schedule. These injuries, you really can't use the information that you have sitting in front of you and try to make the best decision you can. And those are not foolproof decisions.
I mean, I understand it. What's getting to be very difficult with Michael Thomas is the understanding that you're talking about a guy that's 29 years old. And he's no longer a young player. He's a young man relative to society, but in football terms, at 29 years old, he is not a young player. So you get to this point now where you start worrying about throwing out the label of a guy being injury prone and whether his body will allow him to recover, or if this is something that you're just going to deal with. And if it's something that you're just going to deal with, then you can't count on him being on the field and you have to move on, which is why I'm not saying you cut him or anything like that. What I'm saying is you just can't rely on him to be an integral part of your offense, despite what you're paying him. And that's unfortunate. So the other big question, of course, is quarterback, and I think the assumption is that Andy Dalton will start again this week, but Jameis Winston has been practicing, and you did last week, and that points to him nearing a return. But here's what Dennis Allen said on Monday about how they're approaching quarterback with Jameis and with Andy Dalton.
Look, I think the number one thing is that let's get Jameis where he's 100% healthy. Look, he was healthy enough to be the emergency third quarterback in this game last week, and part of that was manipulating the roster to get 48 guys, up on game day. So, look, Andy's done a good job when he's been in there. We've produced and scored some points. So let's get Jameis fully healthy, and then we'll go from there.
Certainly not there. But as far as the Saints injury report, and again, this is they did not practice, but this would have been an injury estimation had they practiced, who would have been available. Here's your DNPs: Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, Andres Pete, Adam Troutman with the ankle injury, which is concerning itself. He went down after apparently getting his ankle rolled, and if you were watching the game, he was just going in motion before a play and just fell. Did not return. Keith Kirkwood, and then Marshawn Lattimore. That would have been your DNPs. So a whole bunch of other guys limited. Ingram, Adebo, May, Ramczyk, Throckmorton, Turner, Winston, Dalton. I said Andy Dalton limited with a back injury, which is that's concerning in and of itself that both your quarterbacks there are on that injury report. So we'll keep our eye on it as the Saints somehow try to cobble together a roster that's good enough to go on the road and try to win this game at Arizona and keep their fading playoff hopes alive. All right, it is after further review. We'll knock out our final break here of hour number 2. We'll come back, get to Tigers and the pros, and to start hour 3, we'll circle back to some of what Brian Kelly had to say as he starts to look ahead to the Ole Miss game and guys familiar with in Lane Kiffin. That's all ahead. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Insurance Network of Louisiana. You know where to find them. They're online at lainsurance.net, lainsurance.net. I'll go ahead and give you the website today because they closed at 4:30, so it closed about 17 minutes ago. So maybe you just start by going to the website, lainsurance.net. You click quotes there at the top of the page, fill out a little info, and they will get started shopping to find you better coverage for less money as soon as they get back into the office tomorrow. 293-0450 is the number, 293-0450, or you can always look them up online at lainsurance.net, lainsurance.net. Love sharing great stories. AFR listener named Russell had been with Liberty Mutual for 6 years. They were able to save him $2,400 annually on home, auto, umbrella coverage. They also reduced his hurricane deductible from $5,200 to a flat $1,000. Better coverage for less money. 293-0450, 293-0450, or lainsurance.net. Stop overpaying to be underinsured. Insurance Network of Louisiana.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Order curbside pickup online or with Rouse's Market Shopping app and let Rouse's personal shopper shop for you. Curbside pickup is free and you pay the same price for groceries as in-store. Use code SAINTS20 and save $20 on orders of $100 or more. That's curbside convenience. Shopper style.
Oh, yeah! Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25%.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
I got a bit of a nerve-wracking night tonight. 99 wins, AL home run record. Boy, it would really suck if they lose tonight.
They're going to win the night.
You know what? Talking about the Yankees, who play the Guardians tonight at 6:07 Central. I do feel good about the game tonight, mostly because I don't believe Cleveland will rise on the stage.
Cleveland.
I am very glad to have had Garrett Cole in the spot that the Yankees did yesterday. But did you see what happened with the Yankees plane? They're playing.
I did see that.
Their plane, they boarded the plane last night after the game to come back to New York. They had to deplane because of a mechanical issue. Had to go back to the hotel, stay an extra night in Cleveland, and then flew back to New York today. So they flew home today on the day they're playing. That's not ideal.
It's not.
It might. I don't know that it's altogether unprecedented, but it's certainly not common. And when you throw off schedules and routines, especially for a pitcher on a game day, that does worry me a little. So. We'll see. All right, Muse. So, Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
It was a heck of a day for the former Tigers in the NFL yesterday, specifically the defensive backs. We'll get to that. And DBU was on full display. But let's start.
How in the world are you not starting with NOLA against NOLA in the NLCS? A double Cali high. Double Calic high on you,
I was going to get to that.
Double Calic high on you.
I was going to get to that.
Austin Nola, Aaron Nola, for a right to go to the World. There will be a Calic high bear in the World Series, Muse.
Yep. I was going to get to that, but you just did it there. So the Nolas are going to face off. Joe Burrow yesterday was 28 of 37 for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, added 25 yards on the ground with a 19-yard score. Jamar Chase was on the receiving end of 7 of those passes for 132 yards, 2 touchdowns, helped ice the game in the Superdome. Jalen Mills yesterday for the New England Patriots, 4 total tackles in the game, 1 pass defense, and an interception, his second interception of the season. Of course, they were playing the Cleveland Browns. Jacob Phillips was the leading tackler for the Browns with 10 tackles. Grant Delpit, continuing the great day by DBU, not far behind him with 7, 5 of them solo, and 1 pass defense. Cade York, 3 of 3 on his field goals with a long of 51. For the Minnesota Vikings, Justin Jefferson, 6 receptions in the game off 8 targets, 107 yards, 47 was his long, did not find the end zone. Danielle Hunter, 6 tackles, a sack, and 2 TFLs in the game, 3 hits on the quarterbacks. Continuing the strong day by the defensive backs, Patrick Peterson, 4 tackles and an interception, 3 passes. Defense, Patrick Queen of the Baltimore Ravens, 7 tackles and a sack. Dante Jackson for the Carolina Panthers, 2 tackles, interception. In fact, it was a pick 6 for Dante Jackson.
Oh,
this is where we were going to talk about the Nola brothers facing off in the NLCS.
Dude,
and
my voice is never going to heal.
One of them will be in the World Series.
Still struggling from the Tampa Bay debacle.
And then lastly,
it's been a month.
Kelly Iko reports that the Houston Rockets are signing Darius Days to a 2-way contract per himself and Shams Charania. That's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. Gentlemen, if you're thinking about popping the question, nobody has a better selection at a better price with more knowledgeable people to help you make that best decision than Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. 2 locations in Baton Rouge and online at lmfj.com. Hour 3 next.
AFR.
Man, I always love to tell you about GMFS Mortgage, and in large part, GMFS Mortgage, their slogan is changing lives. And when you think about it, you're talking about changing lives financially, and it makes a lot of sense. For so many people who are, let's say if you're renting, and maybe you have that dream of owning your own home one day. Owning your own home is, it's a giant step toward building wealth and building equity when you own that home. And oftentimes it actually costs more to rent than to own your home. So there are so many loan products out there that can make it happen. Even, at times there's zero down loans. Get in touch with a local loan officer at GMFS Mortgage. Let them walk you through the process toward home ownership, toward changing your life. GMFSmortgage.com. GMFS Mortgage. Changing lives.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
There's nothing better than tailgating, but it can be a lot of work. So why do it yourself when you don't have to? Let Revelry Sports and Entertainment set up your luxury tailgate on campus. Order what you want and just show up to party. Book your tailgate today at revelryteam.com. Revelry Sports, the official tailgate partner of LSU Athletics.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit. We get it done with passion for our fans and love for our community. We are the Tigers. Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
ITI's got all these programs. Once I started and learned everything about the school, it was worth it.
The challenges that ITI presented me with, it allowed me to build myself up.
All because of ITI, I actually was able to get a job within 3 months before graduation in my field.
Get the hands-on training you need for the job you've always wanted. With so many companies hiring right now, it's the perfect time to come to ITI Technical College. Enroll today for a better life.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller Lite has more taste and only 96 calories. It's Miller time.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. For the second consecutive night, the spotlight in baseball's postseason is on the Yankees and Guardians. In the ALDS, they've got a winner-take-all Game 5 tonight. Cleveland's bullpen, well-rested and ready. On the Yankees side, which relievers manager Aaron Boone utilizes comes down to one thing, explains ESPN's Buster Olney.
Who does Aaron Boone trust after Jamison Tyone? We know that they love Wandy Peralta. Who cares that he threw 27 pitches in Game 3? Who cares that he wound up pitching in Game 4? It's about trust. They really trust him, and they really trust Nestor Cortez, who's one of their starting pitchers, because they feel like he pitches with such heart.
ESPN radio coverage of Game 5, bottom of the hour. Washington quarterback Carson Wentz will have surgery today on his right ring finger. The team not yet sure how much time he may miss. As Cardinals receiver Marquise Brown undergoes further testing to determine the extent of his foot injury, Arizona today acquired receiver Robbie Anderson from the Panthers for a 2024 sixth-rounder and 2025 seventh-rounder. Anderson kicked out of yesterday's game by Carolina interim coach Steve Wilkes following sideline arguments with his position coach.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive offers a great price and round-the-clock protection when bundling home and auto. It's one of those rare times where you could save money and get something great. Bundle today at Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. Do some film review with Maddie Hudak coming up in about 15 minutes from right now. Our college football takeaways at the bottom of this hour. Otter Locks to wrap up the show today. We'll get Jimmy to give us a pick on tonight's Monday Night Football game between the Broncos and the Chargers. So a lot to do, and glad to have you aboard with us here. So Brian Kelly met with the media today. LSU, of course, beat Florida Saturday night in the Swamp 45-35. And now they turn the page to the Ole Miss Rebels, something we'll talk about a lot this week. One of the things that I asked Brian Kelly today was something as a result of an observation that a lot of you made. T-Bob and I on Saturday night were doing whiskey and wine after the game, and a lot of people were asking about Brian Kelly holding a plate, would look like a play sheet. And so I did want to ask him kind of about his role in the offense. And earlier in the press conference, Shea Dixon asked about that, what he called like his little cheat sheet would look like Brian Kelly was holding a play sheet during the game.
Situational football, mostly situational calls. Mike called a great game, I thought. I'm just looking at situational calls and just reminding the quarterback, talking to Mike, talking to Matt, mostly on situational calls.
So one of the things that I think is important to note, and this isn't like, I'm not giving you like some hot take or anything. I think maybe this is just an awareness thing. Sometimes you'll see something in a TV broadcast without context or explanation and make an assumption. Like I think, and I'm guilty of this as well. I mean, on Saturday, I think it's the first time we've seen Brian Kelly that I can remember holding that would look like a play sheet, right? And so the assumption, which is why I asked the question, which we're going to get to here in a second, is, well, the offense was scuffling and maybe Brian Kelly decided to take a more active role. When in actuality, Brian Kelly just told you why he had it. It was situational calls, what to do, a certain down and distance, this or that, whatever it might be, situational in the game. And that might be something he does every week. Might be. That might be something that he does every single week. It has that play sheet card, cheat sheet, whatever you want to call it. But this was the first time that the cameras on the sideline ever got a shot of him looking at it. And so we're led to believe or make the assumption that it's the first time he's ever done it, which he may actually do that every single week. So it does matter. I mean, like, we've had those conversations with Kayshon, right? Like, if you've convinced yourself that Kayshon Boutte has got a bad attitude and all that stuff, which many of you have, and you know who you are, you see a shot at him on the sideline and Jayden Daniels talking to him, you assume, like, the quarterback's trying to pep up the receiver who's got a bad attitude, when that may not be the case at all. Like, maybe they're just legit having a conversation about a play and Kayshon's locked in, or who knows? Like, I think sometimes we're all guilty of that, of seeing a little snippet of something that a TV camera catches without context, and we make a wide-ranging assumption about it. But I was curious because Saturday was also undeniable that LSU's offense looked very different. And if by nothing else, by the result, but I think by a lot of the execution as well and some of the play calls that we saw, the LSU offense run. So I asked Brian Kelly the question, and I asked it kind of in a layered way where I said, how is, and you'll hear the whole answer. The answer is about a minute long, which is why I want to do a proper setup so you can understand why he answers it the way he does. But I said, how is the play calling operation structured? Does Mike Denbrock have full autonomy to call every play? Or is Brian Kelly involved in that process? And I asked him, as a way to punctuate it, did you take a more active role on Saturday in the play calling operation than previous games? And Brian Kelly did give a full answer, the front end of it. He started with a joke, but he did give a very full, extensive answer. Here's what he said.
Mike calls all the good plays, and I call all the great plays. So it comes down from Mike and Cortez. Obviously, he's got him on the sideline, but they're going through our signalers. So I'm hearing them. There's a couple of voices. One, obviously, is enough. You can't have 3 or 4 voices when, you're getting the play and you're getting into a flow. The one thing, and I've been a play caller, you can't get a million suggestions going. You've got to let a play caller go. And for me, I'm reminding him on whether we're going for it on 4th down and what we need to go for it on 4th down, how many yards. Hey, we're going for it on 4th and 3 here, so you can run it twice. I'll give him suggestions like that during the series. And other than that, kind of allow him to keep in the flow of the game. I'm reminding him of time and timeouts and really time management issues more than anything else. Other than that, play calling it's an art and a science, but you can't get in the way of the art of it.
I thought that was a pretty fascinating answer and explanation. So Mike Denbrock's calling down the plays. You got a few different guys on headsets. You have the signalers on the sideline who are getting the play and then signaling it into Jayden, into the offense. And what Brian Kelly's only saying is, hey, look, if we get a 4th down here, we're going to go for it. So you got 2 plays. So, if you need 4 yards, no, you got 2 plays to get 4 yards. And it was, I thought, a pretty interesting look, sort of peek behind the curtain of how that operation goes. But it also, if you take Brian Kelly at face value, which I do, that it's Mike Denbrock calling plays. And, I think there's also a level of trust that has to exist between a coach and a play caller for the coach to be able to allow the play caller to that autonomy to get in the flow of a game. I mean, if you want a sort of counter example, it's what Les Miles did. And I don't mean to cause PTSD for any of you, but that was a problem that Les had. And Les may not have called plays, but Les would say, and this, I mean, these were things that he would tell us on the record. He might say, I want this player here. Right. Well, if you're a coach and you have 50 sheets or 50 play calls in a game, I'm just throwing out that number arbitrarily, and the head coach tells you, I want like this running back here. I want to play. Well, then you eliminate every pass call on the sheet and anything that might have been for a different back, and so you basically just narrow down what you could actually call to this little bitty corner because it's only plays for this player in this moment. So that does limit or hinder a play caller's ability to steal a phrase from Brian Kelly, where he said, it's a play calling's a mixture of art and science, and you kind of have to have both there. Well, it's like telling an artist, look, I want you to paint and I want you to do whatever you want to do, but you have to use this canvas and you can only use these colors. Well, it's not going to be exactly, the picture won't come out exactly like they may have in their mind's eye. So you have to have a degree of trust, and that's why it's important for the head coach to trust his offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator for that matter, if they're allowing them to call plays throughout the game. And I think you're starting to see that progress. I know we've talked about this before, but if you go back and we've dissected these numbers before, if you look at Denbrock's offenses at Cincinnati, the first year he was there, it was bad. They were a bad football team. I mean, I think they won 3 games that first year, and all of their offensive stats rankings were in the triple digits. And the next year they improved a little bit, and then you started to see a little bit of that big bump. And by the time they got to year 4 and year 5, they were in the top 10 in everything. And I'm not saying it's going to take 4 or 5 years for this offense because they didn't inherit a 3-win football team in the American Athletic Conference. It's still LSU, and you still have good players. Now you have the opportunity for the transfer portal, and I think you're going to see them grow and develop and get there. But they've done it before. Sometimes it just takes patience, even throughout a season, as a season goes along, which is what you're seeing. So hopefully Saturday was a breakthrough for this passing game. Jayden Daniels has been one of the most efficient passers in college football this year. What you would like to see certainly is more of the effectiveness like you saw on Saturday. The deep shot to Brian Thomas in the end zone, throwing up a 50-50 ball and being rewarded for it. The 3rd and 4, taking the deep shot when you knew you had a free play, and Jeray Jenkins scoring on the 54-yard touchdown. 3rd and 15 where you find Kayshon on the sideline. A lot of those types of plays were critical and will likely continue to be if this team is going to win moving forward. As odd as this is going to sound to you, we come into this game Saturday with Ole Miss with the perception like Ole Miss is this great offensive team, which at times they have been this year, but LSU actually averages more points per game than Ole Miss. LSU's averaging 35 a game. Ole Miss is averaging 32.8. So it's comparable. But, I told you last week, and I don't mean to get ahead of myself here, y'all, but I told you last week, and I did pick Florida to beat LSU. I said if that game was in Baton Rouge, I'd pick LSU to win it, but it's in Gainesville, and I think with what we've seen from LSU and what we haven't seen from LSU to this point, it's hard just to assume those things are going to happen. Well, something happened. We saw that passing game really click. So now you can move into a game and say, look, I've seen this work before. And I think they can replicate it against that Ole Miss defense. But I told you last week that I was picking LSU to lose to Florida, and I was going to pick them to beat Ole Miss. I told you this last week. And I'm going to tell it to you today. I'm going to tell it to you again on Friday. And I'm not surprised at all that LSU is favored in this ballgame. It opened up Ole Miss -2, and it's moved 3.5 points. LSU's now a 1.5-point favorite at home, and they should be. Because Ole Miss, while I respect tremendously Lane Kiffin, and I think Jackson Dart's a really good player, and they've run the ball with tremendous effectiveness. Ole Miss is undefeated and hadn't played nobody, y'all. I mean, we talked about this back at SEC Media Days, that if Ole Miss beat Kentucky at home, they were going to come into Baton Rouge undefeated. And here they are. They're ranked 7th in the country by virtue of the fact that they're 7-0 and deserve to be because they've won all their games. But they beat Troy, Central Arkansas, Georgia Tech with a coach that got fired a week later, Tulsa. They beat Kentucky 22-19. They put up 22 points on Kentucky in their own building. They blew out Vanderbilt, and then this last week they got into a dogfight against Auburn because they couldn't stop Auburn from running the football. So I'm not saying Ole Miss is a bad football team, but they're not the 7th best team in college football. They're not a top 10 football team. I believe they're a top 25 team, but this is an inherently winnable game for LSU, and quite honestly, one on Saturday that I expect LSU to win going into their bye. I mean, Auburn ran the ball for 301 yards, and there was nothing. If you watch that game, there was nothing cheap about that. Tank Bigsby and Jarquez Hunter, they got off in that ball game. There was nothing cheap about it. And LSU's going to have the same opportunity to do it. As a matter of fact, if Auburn didn't turn the ball over 3 times because they're a bad football team, you might be talking about a very different result in Oxford. All right. It's after further review. Let me knock out a break. We'll come back. We'll chat with Maddie Hudak. She's been doing a great job for us, going back doing some film review. Maddie works as a scout as well, so she's been doing some film review, letting us know what she sees going through the X's and O's. And we'll get to our college football takeaways at the bottom of the hour. We're glad you're with us here. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
We have been talking about how we got Gordon. We got it done. But some of the things that I love telling you about with Gordon is the man and his commitment to all of our communities. And something Gordon's doing right now is partnering with his NIL athletes to raise money for breast cancer awareness. This is the Tigers NIL deals, the Cajuns, and the Bulldogs up in North Louisiana as well. And what Gordon's doing under his charity, Gordon Gives, they've launched their Playing for Pink initiative. So this weekend, all of the Get Gordon athletes, when they make a significant play, Gordon is going to make a contribution to various breast cancer organizations. In Baton Rouge, it's the Mary Brett Perkins Cancer Center's Go Pink initiative. In Lafayette, the Miles Perrette Cancer Services Breast Cancer Support Group. And up in North Louisiana, the Louisiana Cancer Foundation for Research and Education. Another way that Gordon Gives is giving back. So get Gordon and get it done. 888-8888 and getgordon.com.
3 people walk into a bar. The first 2 order the same old margs. The third, Nuevo Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer. Crafted with real lime juice and a crisp tequila flavor. Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $11,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 72 months on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There's nothing better than tailgating, but it can be a lot of work. So why do it yourself when you don't have to? Let Revelry Sports and Entertainment set up your luxury tailgate on campus. Order what you want and just show up to party.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Well, the Saints fell to 2-4 on Sunday with their loss to Cincinnati, and it's just an improbable loss. When you run for over 200 yards, you put up 26 points, you win the turnover battle, and you still managed to lose on your home field. But that's what the Saints did. So how did that all transpire? Maddy Hudak's good enough to join us. Been joining us on Mondays, do a little film review, of course, from not only the Saints Wire, helping us out here as a correspondent at 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, sideline reporter for Tulane football's radio broadcast, and also a consultant for Next Gen Prospect. You can find her on Twitter at Maddy Hudak _94. Hey, Maddy, thanks as always. How are you?
I'm good. That was not a fun watch, but otherwise here to hopefully give some insight.
You know, we last week you and I talked about why the Taysom Hill package worked so well. And there's some bad that we got to get to, but let's start with the good. And the good was the fact that the Saints were really able to run the ball effectively. They ran the ball for 228 yards for an average of nearly 7 yards a carry. Why were they able to run so effectively on Sunday?
I mean, they kind of had better blockers than I think they have had in previous games, as much as they kind of tried the wide receiver room and their pass catching prowess. Guys like Keith Kirkwood, J.P. Holtz, they actually offer quite a bit in run blocking. There were guys like Andres Pete who had really good games, and honestly, Adam Trotman as well. He, to me, really stood out as one of the top run blockers, which wasn't really something that was even in the vision for him initially. You know, he was kind of supposed to be that receiving tight end on that type of trajectory. But I'm curious as to when he went out of the game, because it did really just seem like, again, with all the success that they were having and the success that they were having in Seattle the week before on similar types of plays, they kind of just went away from that entirely and kind of declined to use Taysom Hill for any type of versatility at all.
You said Pete had a graded out well on Sunday. Did anything else jump off the page watching the film as far as the offensive line?
There were a couple plays, again, where James Hurst got beat. Cesar Ruiz, to me, he has kind of been better than I think people perceive him as, and I think that kind of happens with Andres Pete as well. I would say the run blocking all around was substantially higher. Just, again, looking at how many yards they had on a lot of those plays, it's hard not to say a lot of that comes back down to blocking. So in terms of pass protection, it was a little more iffy, but I think the line is kind of starting to shore up, and the tight ends really are starting to kind of understand their assignments, and they're putting in guys like J.P. Holtz, who is he a little one-dimensional in terms of what he can offer in the passing game? Sure, but he gets out there, he gets in front of his block. You always see guys like Eric McCoy really far upfield, guys like Andres Pete doing that as well. So I think when this team really sticks to the run, you almost learn to kind of gel in that game, and that was kind of what seemed to be going on for the first three quarters at least.
Interesting note there about Holtz and Kirkwood. Maddy Hudak is with us, so let's go to the downright bad. What happened on Jamar Chase's 60-yard touchdown?
A lot of missed tackles, which kind of seemed to be the tale of that day. You know, they were in cover one with Tyrann Mathieu as free safety over the top, and that game really quickly showed who's a little more sprightly at this point. And I would kind of have to say it's Marcus May at this point. He was a little more dynamic in the run game. He's really good at diagnosing run plays, finding that lane, getting into the backfield. And his tackling to me has improved from kind of the preseason to the early season, whereas the tackling by Tyrann Mathieu has just really gone down. And it's hard for me to evaluate Bradley Roby on his face because he's not playing that great, but at the same time, he wasn't even really have a place on the starting lineup heading into the season, and then suddenly he becomes cornerback 2 to make up for Paulson Adebo. He played some time in the slot because of C.J. Gardner-Johnson getting traded, which it's hard not to say that could have been used in this game as well, having Chris Harris Jr. in the slot for 96 or something % of the plays. But Roby in Lattimore's spot on Jamar Chase and man coverage, I just don't think is ever really going to go that well. But the missed tackles really stuck out, and Matthew just not really having that trigger speed to react to the plays in front of him and letting guys like Chase easily run around him.
Yeah. Look, Jamar Chase is going to make a lot of defensive backs look silly, but it's a tough pill to swallow when you had two guys with an opportunity to get him on the ground or get him out of bounds. You couldn't do it. I've had a lot of people ask also, Maddy, about Marcus Davenport, who obviously the story of his career is that he hasn't been able to stay healthy, but when he's been healthy and been on the field, he's been really good. He's been healthy and been on the field. We just haven't seen the really good this year. When you evaluate Davenport, what do you see?
Yeah, I'm glad you actually told me to kind of look for that on film, because kind of keying in on him, it was a little nonsensical at times. You know, we're used to double coverage on those defensive ends, and that's why they were able to kind of have, you know, lesser guys on that interior at defensive tackle in the past, because Cameron Jordan and Marcus Davenport were regularly drawing double coverage. And at this point, Marcus Davenport, he was pretty much single covered the whole game. And I noticed he was wearing an elbow sleeve. I did go and look. He isn't on any injury reports, but it was almost like he didn't have the moves in his head, or he just decided kind of not to make them. There were several plays where, at least again, it kind of looked like if he had leaned into it a little more, he's probably easy to beat the guy in front of him. He's really good at bull rushing and throwing guys into the quarterback. We didn't see that at all until those last couple plays on those like back-to-back sacks, I think, which were good to see at the end of the game, although they ended up being for naught. But I don't know what's kind of going on with him. I don't know if it is a health thing or what, but it just kind of seemed like he was a deer in headlights a little bit on some of those plays. And Cameron Jordan, for his age and his snap count over the years, he was beating guys. He was making one-arm tackles and chasing guys down when he was dropping into coverage. I think that he has really been impressive. And to have a younger counterpart in Davenport, who's on a contract year, and a guy that they drafted to replace Cameron Jordan and Peyton Turner that literally can't even get on the field, I don't really know how to solve that problem.
I know. It's we talked about it a bit earlier, that the defense, which has been such a cornerstone of this recent run, you know, under Dennis Allen, it's just been massively disappointing right now when you're 28th in the NFL in points allowed. Maddie Hudak, she's on Twitter at Maddie Hudak _94. Hey, before you go, when you watched it back, was there anything else, player, situation, circumstance, that popped on film that you thought, oh, that was interesting, maybe make a little note?
Yeah, again, Chris Harris actually was one of the better tacklers out there, which stuck out to me. I've read some articles where he's such an intelligent slot player, but he's at the end of his career. Justin Evans played 6 literal snaps. That didn't really make that much sense to me. They weren't really accounting for the running back out in the flat a lot of the time, but I feel like his name gets brought up every week. Pete Werner always stands out. Demario Davis stood out a lot in coverage as well. And there were good plays that were made on defense. And it was just kind of plays where they were rushing 5 and Joe Burrow was running around free. So good spots, bad spots, but at this point in the season, it's not really anything to take away as a positive at this point.
Follow her on Twitter at Maddie Hudak _94. That's HUDAK _94. Saints Wire contributor with us here, sideline reporter for Tulane football, and an analyst and consultant there for Next Gen Prospect. Maddie, we always appreciate the visits. Thanks. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you. A short week at that.
I know. Oh, man. It's going to be they got to go find a way to win this game. That's Maddie Hudak. We appreciate the convo as always. Yeah, it's if you missed it, Dennis Allen did talk about it earlier. They've got to just flip it. You can't dwell. You just, today's a rest day. Tomorrow you practice. Wednesday you travel. Thursday you play. I mean, you just can't think about Cincinnati anymore. It's got to be over. And if you go lose on Thursday at Arizona and you fall to 2-5, I mean, it's over. If you fall to 2-5, I mean, yeah, mathematically you could win out, but you're not gonna. And if you fall to 2-5, then you really have to have some very difficult conversations about, Are you in a spot where like what Carolina is, where Carolina's fire sale on the whole thing? They just traded Robbie Anderson. They're trying to trade Christian McCaffrey. Like, they're thinking about the future. And that's been a conversation the Saints have not wanted to have. The Saints' focus has been win now. They have been in perpetual win now mode. But if they lose on Thursday, you kind of have to start having that really difficult conversation because you have aging veteran players that you have to worry, like, do you rush them back? You have young players with contract situations that you might consider trading like you did with C.J. Gardner-Johnson to acquire assets to try to start building again for the future. It's an uncomfortable conversation the Saints haven't had to have in a long time, but are teetering on having to have that conversation soon, especially if they lose on Thursday. All right, we're brought to you by Mold Zero USA. Man, we appreciate Jim Woodworth and the whole gang over at Mold Zero. Awesome business, man, and a great guy. He's an Air Force veteran, a guy who's committed much of his professional life to disaster recovery. He was there in New York City post 9/11 and was down here in the Gulf region after the BP oil spill. So you're talking about a guy that is committed his life to helping other people through situations where they're facing disasters. And, while mold in your home may not be a disaster, it could certainly be hazardous. And Mold Zero is a patented dry fog technology. This is so easy. They come to your house. You're really only out of the house for about 2 hours. They spray this patented dry fog. They let it dwell. So that means it basically close up the home. You let it dwell. It gets into every nook and cranny to kill mold and other pathogens, to eliminate odor. And then you just wait for the fog to dissipate. It takes a couple of hours. When the fog dissipates, you go back into a fresh-smelling, clean, mold-free home. And it's non-toxic, so there is no risk to you or your family. It's Mold Zero, mold-0usa.com. It's mold. You're not cutting sheetrock. There's no demolition. It's minimal disruption to your work and living spaces. Mold Zero, mold-0usa.com to learn more or to get that free estimate. Mold Zero, mold-0usa.com. All right. It is after further review. Thanks to Maddy Hudak. We appreciate her for jumping aboard with us. Cole Cubelic was here last hour. If you missed it, we opened the show with my thoughts on the LSU win against Florida. The Saints lost to the Cincinnati Bengals. You can always catch that on demand at 1045ESPN.com or any of the After Further Review YouTube channels. By the way, if you are watching live right now on YouTube, thank you. Please do us a favor, smash that like button, subscribe up to the Watch 1045 ESPN YouTube channel. Remember, you can watch all of our shows, OTB, Hanny Time, Hunt and Hill, AFR, and then all of our, frog in my throat, all of our specialty shows as well, from Scone and Tea, Whiskey and Wine, Eagle 98.1 Game Day. When we go live, we're always live on that Watch 1045 ESPN YouTube channel. So please subscribe up and smash the like button. We do appreciate it. All right. We'll knock out a break, come back. We'll get our college football takeaways. What did Muse, Paul, and I learn from this college football weekend? We'll get to that, and then we'll get a pick from Otter for Otter Locks coming up in about 15 minutes. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. Y'all, I've been telling you, man. Been telling you the cold weather's coming, and we're about to get our first cold snap. If you haven't checked the forecast, y'all, this week, Wednesday night, the low is 37. Thursday night, the projected low is 35. We're getting into the 30s this week. You're going to turn on that heater. Is it clean? Is it safe? Is it efficient? Call River City's 1 Hour Air. Pre-season heater safety check. Yeah, of course, if it's running efficiently, it's going to save you money. But most importantly, it's about making sure your heater is safe. When it's dormant for months, you don't want to crank that thing up without having it checked first. That's why seasonal maintenance is so important. Mention the Moscona special, and River City's 1 Hour Air will save you $30. 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 60 months on new 2022 Ford F-150s. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million-mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Service Mastery Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Mastery Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Mastery Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
God bless Chris Doering. And I like CD a lot. I really do. Gotten to know him over the years. He's been really, even before he started working at the SC Network, he was good enough to come on this show, and I've gotten to know him a little bit over the years, and he just keeps betting Peter Burns in these SEC Network, LSU, Florida games. 2019, he had to dress up like the Monopoly man after LSU beat Florida. 2020, he dressed up like, what was the guy's name? The Tiger guy from the Tiger.
Tiger King. Oh, Joe Exotic.
Joe Exotic. Then last year when LSU won in Baton Rouge as a double-digit dog, Chris Doering came out in like the full-on like yodeler outfit. And then PB told us that it was the bet this year was a clown bet that the loser would have to wear full clown regalia, and so here's Peter Burns in a clown suit. It was so this is as authentic as you could possibly imagine. They had a full makeup artist come in. I think, what did PB tell us they spent on the clown suit last week? Did he say like it was $500 or something?
It was in that range, yeah.
They spent a lot of money on the full-on clown suit, and then to top it off, they interviewed Brian Kelly during the segment. You can go check the SC Network's Twitter if you want to check it out, or Chris Doering's Twitter. It's all there. So there's Peter Burns wearing his purple-tinted SEC Network quarter zip, and Chris Doering in a clown suit interviewing Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly was asked today to start his press conference about doing that interview with Chris Doering in a clown suit. Oh, you didn't keep it. You didn't cut it.
Yeah. Yeah, I just,
Did you know that was coming?
I had no idea. No, I didn't know that he was going to dress like a clown. But I think if you keep betting, you get what you deserve there. Because I think he's 0 for 4. In that situation, I think Pete should just up the ante, at this point, and make sure that there's no dress that he comes out in next time.
Actually, can you go to the end of that clip? Because if you hear the oh no, that was actually me. Because when he said no dress, my initial thought was like, was he suggesting that he come out naked or in a dress? Can you play it again?
That there's no dress that he comes out in next time.
That was me. I was like, oh no. Did Brian Kelly just make another viral comment? Anyway, good on Chris Doering for being a good sport, having some fun. I would like to remind you, though, that is not the only bet that was made. Last week when Ryan Clark was here, he was traveling with his guys from the Pivot. That would be Channing Crowder and Fred Taylor. And I asked RC on air with Channing standing right there if they're going to make a bet. This is how it went, if you remember. Hey, are y'all going to make a Pivot bet? Like when LSU beats Florida, those two chumps have to wear LSU shirts or something like that?
Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Excuse me, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, are we going to make a pivot bet? Matt Moscona, I'm on the radio right now. And he asked, are we going to make a bet on the Florida LSU game?
Oh, for sure. 100%.
100%?
Florida, by the way.
Okay, so if we win, you have to wear LSU gear on the next episode we film and vice versa.
I like it.
You like it?
All right.
All right. Channing says he's in, man.
Yeah.
So we're good to go.
What about Freddie Flowers?
Well, Freddie Flowers is getting Chick-fil-A right now, so I can't ask him.
All right. So Fred Taylor is exempt, but Channing Crowder on the next episode of the Pivot that they film will be wearing LSU gear as well, so be on the lookout for that. All right, it's after further review. By the way, if you're going to wager, you can just wager at DraftKings, the official sports betting partner of the NFL. But I also want to remind you, if you're an NBA fan, the wait is over. Basketball's back, and you can tip off this season with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA as well. And new customers can make any $5 NBA moneyline bet and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. It's right now at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. So, Pellies are about to get started. I get it. It's the middle of football season as well. But if you're going to be watching one eye on the Saints, one eye on the Tigers, one eye on the Pellies, make sure you're betting with the DraftKings Sportsbook app. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge, one word together, Baton Rouge. Make any $5 bet this week and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. It's only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Again, use the promo code Baton Rouge, only the DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus issued as free bets. One boost per eligible game. Opt-in required. Parlay and wagering restrictions apply. Eligibility and terms at DraftKings.com/football terms. Licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem. Call 1-877-770-STOP. All right, Muse. Let's do our college football takeaways.
Another week in the books. What did we learn about the landscape of college football?
All right, we got to go a little quickly, fellas, but let's do it. Muse, fire away.
Michigan's better than I thought they were, plain and simple. That wasn't close, and obviously it could have been worse. Penn State had one first down at halftime, a fluke turnover on a tip. It could have been a lot worse. They're not going to win the Big Ten, but Michigan, solid Rose Bowl team.
Yeah, I had Penn State in that game. Ooh.
Me too.
Michigan had played the weakest schedule in the country.
I agree, Matt. That's what I said. They're better than I thought.
You're right. I agree. Paulie.
Pac-12 CFP chances take a hit.
Yup.
Utah beat USC to get them back in the Pac-12 race, but to knock the Pac-12 chances of the CFP down a little bit. So the margin error is thin. UCLA could still run the table. That's probably their best chance.
No, it is their best chance. I told Peter Burns last week, UCLA's better than USC. Muse, this kind of piggybacks one of your what to watch. Clemson's for real. Told you that last week on Friday when we were talking about it. People have shied away from Clemson because of their 3-loss season a year ago. The defense is legit. DJ Uiagalelei looks like the dude that everyone thought he was going to be a year ago. Clemson that was their last test. They're going to play Notre Dame, who's bad. And y'all, just telling you, Clemson's going to be a playoff team. and it could be trouble for somebody in that playoff, depending on how the matchups work.
Kentucky beat Mississippi State this week. Obviously, Will Levis returning was huge in that game. But for me, what was also massive was Chris Rodriguez finally looked like Chris Rodriguez again. Since he had come back from suspension, it really just wasn't clicking. How about 196 yards rushing for him on Saturday? As big as Will Levis coming back, Kentucky reestablishing the run game's massive.
The fire your coach trend hits again. Colorado fired their head coach back on October 2nd.
Yes.
They had last week off, but they returned this Saturday to beat
Cal.
Yeah, they beat one in overtime against Cal. 5 teams have fired their coach this season. Before they fired, they were 1-15, and now since then they're combined 7-5.
How about that? The interim coaches have a winning record. Oh my God!
So fire your coach.
Good stack. Fire your coach. Notre Dame lost to Stanford this weekend. By the way, Stanford's only win up until this point of the season was against Colgate. They went to South Bend and won 16-14. Marcus Freeman is 3-3 this season. Hey, Notre Dame. Brian Kelly was not your problem.
Brian Harson's going to finish the season at Auburn.
No, he's not.
Brian Harson's going to finish it. Why not? I mean, this is the perfect time to do it. They're not doing it. They still have to get an athletic director. They're not going to be anything good anyway. Do it now. They haven't done it now. I think he finishes the season. They should, though, so they can win, according to Paulie. I mean, the numbers back it up.
That's
Auburn.
why they don't want to do it.
What are you doing?
Paulie, go.
Tulane is back. They defeated South Florida for their 3rd straight win, and they are back in the AP Top 25 for the first time since 1998. You know what happened in 1998, Matt?
Tulane went undefeated and won the Liberty Bowl.
It did. Google was also founded in 1998.
Oh, hey.
Titanic won the Oscar for Best Picture in 98.
Hey.
Anything else?
Is that it?
Any other 1998 trivia?
Do you know who was named the sexiest man alive?
In 1998?
Yeah.
Tom Cruise.
That would be Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford. You know what my other choice would have been? Might have been Leo.
That's what I
Leo,
was gonna
Titanic would have made a lot of sense. Harrison Ford. Okay. Some of you may not like this, but I'm going to say it. Won't Back Down is a completely underrated stadium anthem. It was awesome. Start of the fourth quarter in Gainesville was phenomenal. Blaring that song, the lights all throughout the stadium, everyone chanting the "Hey Baby" part. There ain't no easy way out. Philly played it last night on Sunday Night Football. The Eagles played it, and it was just as chill bump inducing. We've so often deferred to Seven Nations Army. You know, everybody goes, okay, I get it. It's good. Living on a Prayer. You've heard them all. This is one that is horribly underrated because usually with those anthems, you want something fast, upbeat, loud, whatever. This is the opposite, but the nature of the song and how it induces everybody to sing that part of the song together is awesome. Kudos, Florida. That's an awesome tradition that I hope they keep forever because it was really, really, really cool, and more stadiums should do it. Okay, that's our college football takeaways. We got to grab a break. Otter Locks is next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery. Erica went to Clegg's yesterday. I didn't because I was watching football. But Erica went to Clegg's. She went and picked out our flowers, our fall flowers. I did have to help plant. And yes, we did get into an argument because I am very ornery and I don't like doing things like that. I don't like putting my hands in the dirt. And I'm not manly. I don't really care. I just don't want to do stuff like that. But it really does look good. She bought some mums. They're beautiful, by the way. Like big, full, colorful, beautiful plants. It is a great time to get by Clegg's, man. The selection is awesome. So get your fall flowers. We got ours. If it's petunias, pansies, snapdragons, perfect fall color and winter as well. They still got a great selection of pumpkins and gourds and hay bales. So go check them out. And a good supply of Mobucks deer feed, deer corn, rice bran. It's all at Clegg's. 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. It's Clegg's Nursery for more than 50 years. Buy local, shop local. Tell them that's mentioned at Clegg's Nursery.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime, Hunt and Hill. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Order curbside pickup online or with Rouse's Market Shopping app and let Rouse's personal shopper shop for you. Curbside pickup is free and you pay the same price for groceries as in-store. Use code SAINTS20 and save $20 on orders of $100 or more. That's curbside convenience. Shopper style.
Oh, yeah!
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Call 288-8138 or visit reliefwindows.com. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria.
Down the stretch, we come final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. One thing left to do, find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and of an incomprehensible, the Outfather himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you, Matthew?
Doing really well, man. I was listening yesterday morning. I heard basically every one of your handicappers on your Football Sunday show pick the Eagles, and so I went heavy on the Eagles to cover 6.5. So I had a pretty damn good weekend, man. I'm not going to lie to you, man. Really good weekend. So.
Yeah, another profitable day on Magnolia Bluffs Football Sunday. I'm trying to get the exact numbers here. Yeah, 9-5. 9-5 yesterday.
Pretty good. And you got one tonight.
The last pick goes tonight. And it's from yours truly.
I heard it yesterday. I've already made the play. So go ahead and give it out.
The dysfunctional Denver Broncos plus the 4.5 against the Chargers tonight. Yes, it's a
Do you know how much confidence I have in you, Otter? Do you know how much confidence I have in you? I took your advice and I bet the Broncos.
I know. You know, what is my golden rule, though? Okay, standalone games. Did Denver play a standalone game last week? Thursday night, all by itself, right?
Yep. You always get an overreaction.
There you go. So recency bias, then I come back and, in the NFL, fear creates value. So I think anything over 3 in this divisional matchup, which they tend to be very close. Dogs were 6-6 yesterday. Unders 8-3-1 or 8-4, depending on what you had on the Philly-Dallas game. But a lot of those dogs won outright. So busting up some survivor pools, busting up those money line parlays for sure. With teams like the Jets, the Giants, and the Steelers all put up major upsets. Atlanta as well, all at the noon slate yesterday. So, but we're going with the system, with the process. It's ugly. It's squirmy. It's not confident. Okay.
1 minute remaining.
That's what we're going with. How about the NOLA and LCS?
I'm ready, man.
That?
Hey, real quick.
Did that make the Tiger bites or whatever?
Oh, of course it did. Tigers and the pros. You better believe it did. He tried not to lead with it, and I interrupted him and just shouted Calici. Hey, real quick, because we're less than a minute. Do you have a pick tonight, Yankees, Guardians?
No, I don't.
Okay.
There's a rain delay. It's going to be a while.
No, that's okay. Last thing, real quick. LSU, I know your rule. An unranked team favorite over a ranked team blind bet. Would you bet it now at 1.5?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Got to stay. It's historically, it's very profitable.
Where are you tonight?
Brews Creole, Perkins Road.
Great spot. Don't get by and see the Otter tonight. Have you some dinner. Thank you, Otter.
All right. Thank you, man.
All right. Paulie, Muse, appreciate y'all. Have an awesome night. If you miss anything, check out AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, mind you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffery in Lafayette. Online, theantiagingclinics.com. Theantiagingclinics.com. Remember, all throughout the month of October, 2 great blood-related specialties. PRP for hair restoration. This is non-surgical hair restoration. Check it out. You can get a big-time discount on PRP with for hair restoration with ACell. Also, micro-needling. PRP, it's the vampire facial. PRP with micro-needling. It's the vampire facial. This month, buy 2 treatments, get 1 free at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. They use your body's own plasma, which has all the regenerative, what was that about? Healing properties to help make your skin heal. Just go there online. Check them out. Theantiagingclinics.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 60 months on new 2022 Ford F-150s. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
ITI's got all these programs. Once I started and learned everything about the school, it was worth it.
The challenges that ITI presented me with, it allowed me to build myself up.
All because of ITI, I actually was able to get a job within 3 months before graduation in my field.
Get the hands-on training you need for the job you've always wanted. With so many companies hiring right now, it's the perfect time to come to ITI Technical College. Enroll today.